That should do it. Let's see here. Are we live? Can you see me? Can you hear me? Welcome to Paleontologizing, everybody. So good to have you here today. Once again in beautiful, windy, western Wyoming. Glad you could join us. Yeah, excellent. Thank you, Rhacodactylus. Beautiful. How's the volume? Is it too low? Is it too high? I can't do anything about the wind, so sorry about that. But we're going to have a good stream today. And I'm glad you could be here. If it's your first time here, let me introduce myself. My name is Danny Anduza, and I'm a dinosaur paleontologist. You probably know already that a paleontologist is a scientist who partakes in the study of fossils. That's what I do. I specialize in dinosaurs. I want to say right off the bat, most of paleontology is not dinosaurs. Paleontology is the study of fossils in general. Everything from fossil trees to fossil whales, from fossil bacteria to, trilobites and what have you. Dinosaurs are just a small part of that, but dinosaurs are what I work on, and that's what we're digging up here in the Late Cretaceous almond formation of western Wyoming right now. And you're along for the ride. Broadcasting to you live via satellite. I'll show you the dish over there and the solar panel and all that stuff. But it's going to be a fun stream. We're going to be flipping some jackets today. We're back at the Barnum Brown hadrosaur site, the one that we think Barnum Brown was probably digging at back in 1937. And he didn't collect it. He just left it here. So we're going to get the rest of it today, or over the next few days. Trying to close out this site. This is one of our priorities for this summer. So we'll be doing that. Yeah. And volume is good? Excellent. Yeah. And I'm all very funny. Welcome to Paleontologizing. Yeah. Good stuff. Yeah. In case anybody's new to this channel, this is what I do full-time. This is how I make my living, believe it or not. Call me the world's first full-time live streaming paleontologist. This is how I do my science outreach and how I pay the bills. So I'm really glad you could be here, and really glad the equipment is working so that we can stream this from the middle of nowhere out in western Wyoming. Let's go take a look over at the site real quick for all you early birds. Yeah. And how are the new tools faring? Very well, Tommy Ploticus, very well. You'll see some of those today. For certain. Yeah. And the Ravens is the only place on Twitch I get to watch a live dinosaur dig while sitting in my living room. There you go. And you can interact in real time. That's the magic of Twitch. So I'm glad you could make it today. It's going to be a fun one. Let's go over and meet the crew real quick and see what's going on over here. I spent, we had kind of a late start today, but I spent most of the morning drawing out a quarry map and, taking all the coordinates down and everything and, trying to gather as much data as we can about the placement of these bones. So, yeah. Anyway, today we got Luke and Spencer and Josh.
Howdy.
So, yeah, Josh is Ethan's brother. Yeah, and he's a tattoo artist out here. And we might be getting some tattoos later. We'll have to see. But yeah, everybody's been super, super cool. And again, I'm lucky to be on the Cool Kids crew today. So
we're lucky to have you here.
And would you like to explain what this is, Luke?
Yes, so here we have a few bones that we found. So here's the surface of our site. Down here, as we were digging, we did find several more bones. We're not exactly sure what kind of bones they are. At this point, we're sort of assuming they're still affiliated with this hadrosaur here. You never know, it could be something else. But we've got a few bones in place here, which we've jacketed up in this protective plaster here to keep everything safe as we move it.
Yep, that's what we call a jacket.
So basically the point of this is not only to protect the bones in here, which are very fragile, but we want to also protect all the associated sediments and everything. There could be stuff we missed, and it's really, the goal here is we want to collect this and just bring it to the museum or wherever that's going in as safe as a manner as possible.
Yeah.
And then when it's at the research facility, we can actually really get in here and see what we're working with. We usually don't want to do that in the field because we just want to keep everything as safe and intact as possible.
Yep.
So what we do here, after we've we've cleared out all this dirt. We've protected these with this plaster. What we're gonna do now is we're gonna flip this over. So we're gonna be flipping this right into this patch here so that we can wrap up the other side so that this is fully protected, fully cased up, and it should be good to be sent out.
Nice. Yeah. Good explanation. Yeah.
Thank you.
Awesome. We're going to be seeing a lot of jacketing this summer, and was excited to show you this jacket flip. So everybody cross your fingers this goes well.
Hope it goes well. Hope you don't lose anything. You know,
Yeah.
sometimes stuff falls out. Sometimes you don't get a perfect flip.
Yeah.
But we're hoping for the best here. There's not too many bones in here. Like maybe 4 to 5 that we have. We don't know what's below that. There could be more. But there's only one way to find out.
Yeah. You guys have made a pretty nice tall jacket, so that lessens the likelihood that it'll spill out when we do the flip.
Yeah, we've got a little bit more room to work with.
Yeah.
If stuff does break.
Cool.
But yeah, we should be good.
I don't want to rush you with this. If you guys want to undercut it more or something like that, don't you know, try and adhere to my schedule. I'm working around you guys.
No, I think we're about ready to go
Cool.
here. So
Should I put the camera down and I can just use a little tripod, and if you want an extra set of hands? Or you think you got it?
I think we got it.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna pry it over on this side with this pick here, and then Spencer and Josh are basically gonna be right here, ready to guide it gently down to place. We want to be as gentle as possible, even though this is wrapped up in hard plaster at this point. Stuff can still go wrong if you're not careful. So this is the moment of truth here. So let me.
Before it's flipped, you're a wonderful host. Is quite the artist. And, before it's gone, I'd like to point out how fantastic this 3D arrow is that he drew.
Look
Thank
at that,
you.
everybody.
It is wonderful.
W's in the chat for Danny. All right.
Yeah, let's get some W's for the win. Maybe a couple N's for North.
All right. So here we go, boys. Yeah. So I'm gonna try and I'm gonna straddle this.
All right. See, this is what you get for showing up early, everybody. You get to see the cool stuff right at the beginning.
Might be kind of tough to pry here.
Oh yeah, it's moving.
Okay. 1, 2, 3.
I'm gonna reshift a bit. Right here. I feel like I got a pretty good handheld here. We could probably just flip it hands. All right, ready?
Yeah. 1, 2, 3. Watch your foot, Spencer.
Nicely done. Nicely done.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh.
Sweet. Okay. All right. Doesn't look like we have any bones. That's just
Excellent.
that iron concretion that
Mhm.
kind of looks like bone. That. I'm not sure what that is. That looks like plant material, I think. So yes, a successful flip there.
Very nice, guys. Very nice. Getting some claps in the chat and everything.
All right.
Yeah.
And then it's always good to take a look down below. Make sure we didn't miss anything. You look pretty good here, though.
Now kick flip it, says Tommy Platt.
A little too heavy for that. A little too heavy, a little too fragile.
Yeah.
It's several hundred pounds, that jacket.
Oh yeah.
You know?
If you could
But we'll make it
kickflip that, that would be impressive.
It would be impressive, yeah. So, what we're going to do here eventually, we might trim a little bit of this down, but what we're going to do is we're basically going to do the same thing that we did on this side up on here now, so that we get
bottom jacket.
a full protective layer around it. As the wind picks up here.
Yeah.
All right.
Nice. Nicely done, guys.
Nice job.
Very
That was
cool.
good.
That's clean.
Yeah.
That was clean.
So they're going to be taking some hand tools. They'll be kind of carving away at the rock there, getting rid of some more of that matrix, and then
Yeah.
whatever we can clear away will make the jacket lighter and easier to transport. So
Yes.
yeah.
Dirt does get pretty heavy.
Oh
Carrying
yeah.
a lot.
Oh yeah. What do you got in there, guys? Rocks?
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually. Yeah. Very cool. Very cool.
Nothing like flipping rocks.
Nice. Well, thanks, guys.
Thank
Cool.
you.
I'll be walking around a little bit and just answering questions, kind of periodically popping in and out. So,
Sweet. Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
so this site here is a duckbill dinosaur, as near as we can tell. That's the thing about collecting dinosaurs in the field is sometimes you don't know exactly what you've got until you bring it back to the laboratory, and that's kind of by design. We don't want to field prep things. We don't want to carve away too much of the rock because then you risk damaging the fossil. especially when we're out here in the middle of nowhere under really windy conditions. We get storms rolling through. You know, this is the wilderness out here. You want to do the precise, delicate work back under controlled circumstances in the laboratory, you know, under laboratory conditions. And so we're not necessarily going to know what this critter is until we get it back and until we get it cleaned. And that sort of thing can take years. So, like I was saying yesterday, there's a tremendous amount of work that goes into fossil science. And I'm really happy that I'm able to communicate that idea to all of you and show you firsthand. So, yeah. But yeah. And how's the weather? Oh, Nick, how are you doing? Welcome, welcome. It was uncomfortably hot yesterday, but today we've got a nice cloud cover going on. We've got some wind. It is, it's probably in the low 80s right now, I would guess. Yeah. 83? Yeah, it doesn't even feel like 83. I guess it's that wind. Yeah. But we're looking forward to... You're coming out here soon, Nick, aren't you? Yeah. Everybody, you're gonna enjoy meeting Nick when he's out here. Cool guy. And let's see. Let me clear away some of this dust so I can actually see the messages. From Den's Pens, 2K. Dinosaurs. I've loved dinosaurs since I was a kid, all those years ago. How long does it take to excavate an entire skeleton? Depends how big it is, you know, how well preserved it is, how tough the matrix is, how big a crew you have, what kind of tools you're dealing with, what the weather is like. It can take... Shoot, for some of the biggest dinosaurs, it can literally take years or even decades to dig up a complete skeleton. If you have, like, a semi-complete sauropod, big old titanosaur or something, it might take years and years and years to dig that thing up. And when I say years and years, that's consecutive summers. We only really do field work during the summer because, well, in a place like this, western Wyoming, there's snow on the ground during the winter. And it might be, you know, negative 40 degrees outside. So we work during the summers. Yeah. For a small dinosaur, you might dig it up in, I don't know. If it's really small, it might just take a couple days. But it's very rare that we find anything close to a complete skeleton anyway. So to collect a dinosaur specimen, just to, like, you know, a handful of bones, if that's all there is, it might take an afternoon, or it might take a whole summer. It really depends on so many different factors. Yeah. And let's see here. Yeah. And Old West cosplay, JR Scribe. I mean, we're not out here to... We're doing science out here, you know? The point is to, you know, collect these specimens for science. You know, we're not out here to... This isn't Comic-Con or anything, you know? Yeah. And let's see here. Semi-complete, a word people should probably use more often to get more nuance. There you go, JR Scribe. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. And Ms. Blue Sky says, how do you strike the balance of a long dig on a big dinosaur versus more shorter digs on smaller dinosaurs? It just depends on what we find, you know? We'll dig up and collect what we've got. And oftentimes, sometimes if we find something, most of the time if it's fairly large, if we have to dig a hole larger than 1 meter by 1 meter, then you got to wait till the next season to do that, because you have to get your permits in order. You got to get your excavation permits if you're digging on public land, which that's most of what we're doing out here. So yeah. And then you've got like different numbers of people on different sites. We've got about 20 people in camp right now. You know, when we go back to camp and everybody's together, I think it's more than 20 at this point. And so we send different people to different sites during different days. And yeah, there's a lot of logistics involved. For certain. Yeah. And let's see here. What do you think of the Jurassic Park movies? They're fun, Den's Pens. Yeah. The first one, the main character in that, the dinosaur paleontologist played by Sam Neill, Alan Grant, it's the character's name. He's based on my old boss, on Jack Horner. So, yeah. Yeah. That movie's near and dear to my heart. I'll admit that. Now, did I see Ken in the chat here? And snow during the spring too. Yeah, there you go, Ken. Absolutely. Yeah. This is about as early as we could come out, beginning of June, and reasonably expect to have okay weather and not have a ton of snow and not have freezing cold nights and stuff. So yeah, there's a narrow window in which you can do fieldwork every year. That's from about the beginning of June through maybe mid-September or something like that. Maybe. But we've got other things to do in other parts of the U.S. later this summer. So we'll be working here in Wyoming till the end of June. And I'll be streaming almost every day, as often as I can. But yeah, then in mid-July, I'm going back out to Utah. Going to be digging there near Moab from mid-July to mid-August. And I'm excited to bring you all along for that. It's going to be great. Anywho, yeah. Well, what's the coolest dinosaur fossil you've helped dig up? Matt M33, thank you for reposting that from Stellar Parallax. The coolest dinosaur fossil I've helped dig up. Oh boy, that's tough. I've helped dig up several new species of dinosaur. We had a new ankylosaur in the Judith River Formation in 2017. New armored dinosaur. We've got a new horned dinosaur here and probably a new duckbill dinosaur in the same formation. I helped dig those up last year, and then I'm continuing with that this year. Let's see. I don't know. Maybe the one that gets the most attention, that maybe makes people in paleo go, ooh, is I helped dig up the Yoshi's Trike site specimen. It's a Triceratops with extraordinarily long brow horns, like 4 feet long, and it's got the longest brow horns ever found on a Triceratops. I helped dig up the postcrania back in 2011. That was my first summer in the field, one of the first dinosaurs I ever dug up, and that was pretty cool. Yeah. So I've got a few cool dinosaurs under my belt so far. I've been doing this since 2011. So yeah, and I could go on, but I've got to get to some other questions too. Let's see. Hey, Dyson Dinosaur, welcome. We're back to the Barnum Brown site today with our hadrosaur, and we just did a jacket flip. Let me show you again. For anybody just tuning in, yeah, let me show you. So there's our solar panel and solar battery. There's our satellite dish, that's why we can broadcast from out here. And then we got a couple of jackets flipped already, which is fantastic.
No, that's not true.
The guys are working on this right now. And yeah, just kind of carefully paring that down. And hopefully we'll be able to find the underside of the bones there. If they decide to pare it down that far.
Probably not that far.
Probably not that far, okay.
Yeah. Probably planning maybe like to the cat.
Oh, really? Okay.
Maybe.
Huh.
Maybe here.
Different strategy than I'm used to, yeah.
Do you go down to the bone?
Usually, yeah.
That's what we did last year with Ethan.
Yeah.
We went until we found some bone and then.
Yeah. So more of our duckbill dinosaur here. We actually have a hadrosaur researcher in the chat right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's pretty jealous. Sorry, Believe. But this is pretty cool. It's pretty cool. New, probably latest Campanian or earliest Maastrichtian hadrosaur. It's probably going to be a new genus or species. We'll see. But we got the denary right there. I showed you this last time.
Yeah, it's not that I don't.
Yeah. Oh, and this is glued on now, isn't it?
You're still going on about it.
Did you guys glue the chunk back onto the denary over here?
We did, yeah.
Nice,
that whole block has been glued up, and same with that one.
Beautiful, yeah. Well, I could pull that up and show you the tooth rows, but it's glued on. I don't want to mess that up. But yeah. So this is a site that we think was probably originally found by Barnum Brown and his crew in 1937, because there's evidence that they were digging here. Like, some of this stuff is, they'd piled up bits of bones. They'd clearly dug a pit here, and then it doesn't seem like they really collected it. So yeah. But they left a bucket here, a metal bucket that's all rusted, and we just collected that the other day. So it's a historical site, I suppose. Yeah. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. For those of you who are not familiar with him, Barnum Brown is the guy who discovered T-Rex. And got a picture of him in here. Let me find that for you. But he's one of the more famous dinosaur hunters from the early 20th century. Here's old Barnum Brown right there with some fossil jackets. He's got a nice rib right there. And he was digging out here in Wyoming in 1937. He nearly died out here, actually, because the weather is so crazy. And yeah, there's like a big cloud burst and a flash flood. And he couldn't get back to town. And he and one of his assistants nearly froze to death out here. I'll tell you the story sometime. I'll bring that book out next time I'm at this site, and then I'll read an excerpt for you from that. But it's harrowing stuff. It really is. When did you discover it? 1937, Erebus. But this site was rediscovered. In fact, I think maybe Josh rediscovered it back in 2021. And it's like, yeah, there's some bone over there, but like something weird going on with it. You know, somebody was here before, back in the 30s. Yeah. But yeah. And be careful I'm not doing the same, okay? Yep, you bet, Gravity. You know, this kind of work can be dangerous, so you got to have respect for it, and you got to be smart by how you do this kind of thing. And the sky and clouds are pretty. They definitely are, Sibley. We got, you know, yesterday was like almost totally blue sky, no clouds. It's nice to have some clouds here. They definitely are pretty. That's how we see what we're doing on our battery here. I'm charging up the guys' phones and stuff. And we are running at a deficit, but that's okay. These things will finish charging eventually, and we'll be able to hopefully get that up to 100% by the end of the day, so I can continue streaming tomorrow. We also got a late start today, so there hasn't been as much time for that to charge up. And let me get rid of this hangnail. Hang on a second, chat. Ouch.
Ontogeny.
Alright. Yeah. Do you remember your lip balm? Got it right here, I have a little. You bet. Don't you worry about me. I know what I'm doing. And has climate change made it harder for digging? Asked Landon History Buff. A little bit, in some ways. Weather seems to be a little bit more unpredictable, and it gets hotter. You'll see when I'm out in Utah in July. It's, you know, it'll be probably over 115 degrees Celsius, 150 degrees Fahrenheit, excuse me, which is what, like 42 degrees Celsius, something like that. Yeah, it's gonna be hot. It's gonna be hot. So it kind of limits how much work we can do when it's that hot out. But, you know, you do what you gotta do to collect these dinosaurs. There's no two ways about it. Watching from the state over in Idaho. Very cool, Sea Barty. Well, hello from the Gem State. Welcome to Western Wyoming here. Yeah. And let's see here. Dinodax says, if you could have one non-avian dinosaur for a pet, which one would you want? Oh, shoot, I don't know. It's a good question. I'd also really want to study it. So it's like, you're kind of asking which dinosaur would I most want to study in the flesh. And I don't know, it's a tough one. That's a tough one. Yeah. I'd have to think about that. And 115 degrees Celsius. No, 115 Fahrenheit gravity. Yeah. Yeah. What is that? 115 Fahrenheit is like, what is it, like 42, 43 Celsius? At least it's a dry heat. But you'll see later in the summer. You will see. It gets hot out there near Moab, Utah. And Ava Little, puppy's at a different site today. Yeah, with Doug. That's Doug's dog. And She's over at the other hadrosaur site today. 46 degrees Celsius. Holy cow, Rhacodactylus. Well, might get even hotter this summer. We will see. It's going to melt my streaming gear. And greetings from Moscow. Thank you, cheerful bloke. I hope you're doing well over there. It's good to see you. Yeah. Yeah. It's a dry... Exactly, Ms. Blue Skies. Yes. Anyway. Yeah. How's everyone else doing today? I hope you're all having an excellent day. And if there's any lurkers, anybody just watching right now, feeling a little shy, feel free to keep lurking. But if you've got any questions, please do not hesitate to ask. That's the whole reason why I'm doing these broadcasts live. This is different from like a pre-recorded video on YouTube or something like that. That live interaction is kind of the whole point of this. So do not hesitate to ask those questions. And Scurvy Hem says, working and lurking. Excellent. Yeah. Very nice. And hey, Farning, how are you doing? Welcome, welcome. Yeah. How do you not break fossils when picking away at rock? Asked Zombie J. That's a great question. Here, I'll go back over to the quarry for a minute and I'll show you. We use the picks and shovels and stuff in the layers above the fossil bone. So the stuff that we call overburden is all the rock and crud that's above the bone layer. So you got to be really, really careful that you know where the bone layer is. And so when you think you're getting close to the bone layer, then you stop, you take a deep breath, and you start working with more precise hand tools and stuff like that. So, yeah, it's... So this up here would be, much of this is overburden. But this is kind of an unusual site, and much of the bone is actually up high. And this stuff was way down lower, which is not super common. There is a chance it's from a different animal, or you might just have a situation where this particular bone layer is very tall. But, yeah. Occasionally, too, you'll be digging through what you think is overburden, and then there's more bone up there. So you just have to really pay attention when you're swinging those picks and shoveling. If you catch even the slightest glimpse of a little piece of what might be bone, then you shout for everybody to stop what they're doing, and you investigate. Because you don't want to be digging through bones out here. It's a rookie mistake. So great question, Zombie J. I hope that answered it for you. Lurking from Florida, also too hot to be outside today. Yeah, Mama Night. In a place like this, if it gets too hot to be outside... No, let me put it a different way. It doesn't get too hot to be outside because there is no inside. We're sleeping in tents at night, doing our cooking and working, everything else outdoors. So you just deal with the heat however you can. Yeah. And when does the ice cream truck show up? Oh boy, I hope it's soon. Yeah. And Siveros says, saw this on the homepage and had to drop in. Always wanted to get into paleontology. Well, here's your chance. Welcome, Siveros. Hello. Let me know if you've got any questions. Welcome to Paleontologizing. My name is Danny Anduza. I'm a dinosaur paleontologist. And this is what I do during the summers. I'm really lucky to be able to share this with you. When I'm not out in the field, for most of the year I'm back in my office, conducting research, writing up papers and stuff, and streaming 5 days a week, usually 2 o'clock California time. So I'll be back there in beginning of July, and we'll do some office streams, and then July 15th, it's back out to Utah, and I'll be digging some dinosaurs there near the town of Moab. Really looking forward to that. I'll be there until mid-August. So lots of fieldwork this summer. Yeah. And let's see. How deep do you need to dig to get to the bones? Asks Merismix. Great question. In order to find dinosaur fossil bones in the first place, we don't dig. We do what we call prospecting. So you just walk along the ground and you look for anything that might be a chunk of bone. And then hopefully you find more and more, and you can kind of follow it up to the source. And hopefully that source is most of a skeleton in there. That's how we do that. And then we dig it up afterward. It's not like we just go dig in a random spot somewhere and hope for the best. That would never get us anywhere. You'd never find anything. You got to prospect first. So you might walk miles and miles and miles before you actually find anything. A lot of prospecting, you might have totally fruitless days for sometimes for weeks before you find something good. But once you do, then the real work starts, like we're doing here today at this site. And thank you, Ken, for reposting that from Dense Pens. What do you think can be done to encourage younger people into the field of paleontology? I'll be showing my 7-year-old daughter your channel in the morning. Very cool, Dense Pens. That's awesome. Well, I'm hoping to get young people and people of all ages excited about paleontology. It's the whole point of this channel. It's the whole point of these streams. That's the thing, is that I think people are generally interested in stuff like dinosaurs, fossils, natural history. I think that's something that just kind of comes naturally to people because this stuff is just so objectively cool. I think really what needs to be done is providing more resources for people to be able to get involved, and more resources for more fieldwork and stuff. With our crew here, we've got like 20 plus people in camp, and I'd say about half of them are folks who have never dug up a dinosaur before. These are younger people who are going through university right now or about to go into university. This is their first time out doing this. We're really lucky that we've got the funding where we can feed these people and have them be on our crew. And that's partly because of your support, chat. Provided a lot of the gear for this summer and some of the funding, and it's making it happen. So paleontology is one of those sciences where we have very few resources. We are not well funded as a discipline. We're out here, our budget for this summer I think is about $20,000, which is way more than we've ever had before. It's fantastic. And that allows us to rent a truck, buy a bunch of gear, have a bunch of supplies, and have such a big crew. We're right now, as we speak, running 4 different sites. There's this duckbill dinosaur that we're digging up. There's another duckbill dinosaur. There's a ceratopsian dinosaur, a horned dinosaur. And then there's another site called Turtle Hill, where I was yesterday, where we've got all kinds of different critters, kind of a sample platter of what was going on in this environment. We've got fossil plants and clams. We've got fossil fishes and turtles. Running 4 sites at the same time is not really possible unless you have a lot of people and a lot of equipment. And so we're really lucky to be able to do this. So yeah, I guess my answer how to get young people more into paleontology is fund paleontology so that we can have stuff like these live streams, so that we can find new dinosaurs, get people excited about that, and we can have more people on our crews. Because this fieldwork is super, super cool, and it's a great way to get involved in the science. I hope that makes sense. And let's see. And Aubrey Piazza says, I'm a geology dork, but then fossils end up working their way in? Absolutely. Yeah, we do a ton of geology out here. That's like half of what we're doing here. Thank you for those gift subs, Mr. Christoph. I really appreciate that. Thank you for your support, helping make these broadcasts possible. That means a lot. It really does. Thank you for that. Splendid. And there's 10 people in the chat who are, I'm sure, very excited because they won't have to watch any ads at all for the whole rest of June, for as long as I'm out here in the field. Thank you, Mr. Christoph. Yeah. And Scully Nember says, hi there. Hi there to you, Scully. Just found your page from recommended. This is such a cool concept. Thank you. This wouldn't have been possible just a few years ago, streaming live from the field. But I've got this whole rig set up here with a camera and a microphone and mobile stream encoder. And then the reason we've got internet in this remote locale is that satellite dish over there running off of solar power. So I think that is pretty cool. Pretty cool. And Cody Jam says, thank you for sharing your passion with us. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it. Yeah, thank you for your kind words. Yeah. And Wanapatu says, outdoor Danny, still driving the off-road Prius? You bet, yeah. I actually drove the Prius over to this site a few days ago. And the Cincinnati crew was behind me, and their big, gnarly, what is it, a Jeep Wrangler Latitude or Gladiator, something like that. And they're like, I've never seen a Prius do anything. Didn't think it was possible to get up here on these dirt roads over that rough terrain, but we did it in my off-road Prius. Yeah, I was pretty proud of that. Still, we're at 43 miles to the gallon right now. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. That Jeep is probably getting like 15 if it's lucky. Yeah. Will you be putting some of the jackets in the Prius to get them out of the field safely? Maybe, Jody Fish. We'll have to see. At the end of the summer, we'll see if we've got enough space in the truck. Ethan's got a big long bed, like Dodge Ram that he rented, and so there should be a lot of space in that, we hope. And we've got a field station nearby too, so we don't have to drive this stuff all the way to Cincinnati. We can just drop it off at the field station, and it'll be perfectly safe there. And then later, Ethan can rent like a U-Haul or something and drive it up to Cincy. Yeah. What are the steps needed to prepare the jackets? Asked Scurvy Ham. That's a great question. Let me go over and show you. Here we go. Let's talk jackets a little bit, because we had a question about that. We just flipped this jacket earlier, or rather, Luke and Spencer and Josh flipped this earlier. So a jacket is essentially like a protective cocoon that we put around these fossil bones in order to get them safely back to the laboratory. This thing's been sitting here for about 73 million years in the ground, and as soon as you expose it, it starts to break down when it's exposed to the atmosphere, and exposed to, wind and rain and frost and everything else. So we want to be able to get this safely out of the ground. In order to do that, you build this protective field jacket. And it's made out of burlap, which is, what's the other name for burlap?
Potato sack.
Potato sack, yeah, or jute fabric, maybe? I think that's what people call it in Europe. For all our European viewers, I think it's jute fabric.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So that woven stuff, really, really high quality.
We got some.
It's like cashmere.
We got some over there if you want.
Yeah. So yeah, anyway, you take that and you soak it in plaster of Paris, and you make this kind of protective bandage over the top of it. And you're forming this cocoon over the top of the thing, and then you dig around underneath, you flip it over, and that's what these guys did just a few minutes ago on stream. It's pretty cool. Luckily, we got a successful flip, and then you carve it down. You're trying to get rid of a bunch of the weight there. So the whole point is not to expose the bones completely in the field. You don't want to do that because that'll destabilize them, and you can potentially destroy them that way. You want to be as gentle as you can with the bone, and that means just having it there encased in the rock. So later on, we're going to be putting a bottom jacket on this, and so the whole thing will be totally sealed up by burlap and plaster. And hopefully we'll get to see that. We'll probably be doing the bottom jacket today, right?
Yep. Definitely.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah, after we trim this down, I think we'll just start.
Excellent.
Down on
Yeah. Cool. So you'll get to see that later, Chad. Yeah. Anyway, thanks, guys.
Yep.
Yeah. And let's see. Burlap is also known as sackcloth. There you go. Thank you, Diagonal. Yeah. Only the finest of materials out here for us. And jute is usually a woven fabric of coarse thread. You're right, Hecky for Life. Yeah, jute is like rugs. That's what I'm thinking. Yeah. Sackcloth. Or there's another word for it, too, that Europeans use. I forget what it is. Yeah. We call it burlap. Or, if you want to be fancy about it, burlap. If it's not from the Burla region of France, then it's just, sparkling sackcloth. Somebody in chat made that joke a while ago, and I loved it. And Denspen says, what do you do if in the process of digging up dinosaur bones, you come across human archaeology? We usually don't, because that's the thing, is that these dinosaur fossils are in the rock. You know, this is rock that's 70 plus million years old. Any human artifacts are going to be basically on the surface or in soil, you know? These rocks were formed tens of millions of years ago, so they don't have any human stuff in them. But occasionally on the surface we'll find, I don't know, like arrowheads or something like that. And yeah, we try and leave it undisturbed, and we'll let, say, the Bureau of Land Management know about that. And yeah, you know, people who are overseeing our public federal lands. And yeah. But we tend not to, we're not out here to collect that stuff. That's part of the landscape. We've got respect for that, and we leave it here. We're not archaeologists, you know. We're just here for the fossils. But yeah. And Shaun of the Dead, how are you doing? I can see it's windy. Does it help or just get sand in everyone's eyes? A bit of both. Yeah, on a hot day, the wind is nice because it's a breeze. It helps cool you off. Wicks the sweat away from your skin. But when you're doing a lot of digging, it can be really annoying because it just sends dust everywhere. So we've all got like dust and wind goggles to protect our eyes. And we haven't had to use them so far today, really. But yeah. Well, no, the guys kind of are using at least like safety goggles and stuff right now. Or ski glasses. But yeah, the other day I had the, goggles around my neck because it was super, super windy and there was just dust going everywhere. Got to protect your eyes. In Mexican Spanish is yute. Oh, really? Yute y yeso. Burlap and plaster. I like that. Oh, Hessian. That was the one I was looking for, Wanapata. Hessian. Thank you. That was the term that I was groping for. Hessian is another term for burlap or jute fabric or whatever you want to call it. It's like a very coarse woven... Oh, maybe I'll show you over here. Oh, you'll see later. You'll see later when we're building the jacket. Yeah, when we put that bottom slip on. And in Italian, it's iuta. Nice. Also known as gunny cloth, but jute comes from a specific plant originally from India. Thank you, Diagonal. Appreciate those solid facts there. Good stuff. And are you on private property? This particular spot, oddly enough, is private property. And we got express permission to dig here. So that's what we're doing. But even though this is private property, these fossils are still going into a public collection. So the museum in Cincinnati, the Cincinnati Museum Center, which has got a growing collection of vertebrate fossils, they have kindly offered to accept these for us. Because it takes a lot of money and a lot of space and it's a lot of responsibility to take on fossils like that, because you have to be able to prove that, like, hey, these fossils are going to be here in perpetuity and we're always going to have funding, we're always going to have staff, we're always going to have space. It's find a dinosaur and go, oh, can we keep him, Mom? It's like, oh boy, that's a lot of responsibility to have a repository for dinosaur fossils. So we're really lucky that Cincy's been so good to us. Let's see, scrolling. And how hard is it to get into paleontology? How much work and education goes into it? Severos, it depends what you want to do in paleontology. Like, do you want to be a tenure track professor? Like, well, then you're probably going to have to get a PhD, which takes a lot of work, My crew chief and mentor back in Montana, Denver Fowler, he took 10 years to get his PhD. Like, just after his master's degree, after his, undergrad, just his PhD took 10 years. So yeah, it can be a lot of work, a lot of education. But then there are people who just come out and volunteer with us during the summer, and they don't necessarily have to have any education at all. It depends what you want to do in paleontology, because there's a lot of different ways to get involved, if that makes sense. And Dyson Dinosaur says, very rightly, very correctly, the problem is not to get into paleontology, the problem is how to stay in paleontology. Yeah. I've been really lucky in that here on Twitch, I've been able to make my living doing live streams about paleontology, and so that funds my research and fieldwork and outreach. Obviously, this is my outreach, and yeah, I wouldn't be able to like go to conferences and go out to the field and stuff like that if I had to work a 9-to-5 job, a traditional 9-to-5 job. Me doing this, you know, for my living, streaming, has opened up so many doors for me, and increasingly that's the way to do things in paleontology. A lot of those old tenure-track professorship jobs are drying up. Universities are just getting rid of those positions in favor of hiring more administrators. Yeah, it's really difficult to make a living in paleontology. It really is. And there are so many students who go into this discipline, and there's not nearly enough jobs for everybody. You know, there's maybe 10 paleo students for every, like, potential paleo career that exists. So increasingly you got to make your own opportunities, like I've been doing here, and it's been working really well for me. Yeah. So I don't know, Dyson Dinosaur can tell you about that. He's a paleontologist from Italy. He's in Belgium right now doing his postdoc, and you should totally follow him. Can we get a shout out for Dyson Dinosaur? Yeah. Rooney says, are there ever any dangerous minerals in or around fossils? It's not common, but sometimes, under very specific circumstances, dinosaur fossils can be highly radioactive. It's very rare, but in certain parts of the world that's true, like near Moab, Utah, near where I'm going to be digging in July. Some of those dinosaur fossils are near uranium deposits. And so as the uranium is being like deposited there in the ground, in the late Jurassic Morrison Formation, sometimes like radioactive groundwater kind of seeps into those fossils and then makes the fossils much more radioactive than the surrounding Earth. There was a whole bunch of uranium mining that went on there back in the I think the 50s and 60s, and yeah, sometimes they would literally take those dinosaur fossils, the uranium miners, and use them as, they'd mine them for radioactive fuel for submarines and reactors and aircraft carriers and stuff like that. So there are, or at least have been, United States military naval vessels that are fueled by dinosaur fossils. It's happened. Kind of wild. But that's rare. Most dinosaur fossils are not even a little bit radioactive, but some of them are. I've actually got a radiation detector that I'm going to be bringing out with me to Utah this year, and we'll test some of those bones and see if they come up with any radioactivity. Yeah. Do you know funding is available for people who want PhDs? It is extremely competitive, Chickpea Girly. Absolutely, it is extremely competitive. Yeah. It's competitive just for master's degrees for funding. Yeah. And what amount of exposure when working with those fossils, though? Some of those are too hot to touch. Some of those fossils from, like, the Yellowcat area near Moab, Utah, near those old uranium mines. Like, those fossils, they come straight out of the uranium mine. Like, the fossils are infused with uranium. And so they're too radioactive to touch. Yeah, but most dinosaur fossils are not really radioactive at all, or if they are, it's the same amount that, like, the concrete in your garage is radioactive. It's like, just tiniest little amount. Barely detectable. Jad Junk says that sky doesn't look real. Really? Well, take a look. There's big sky country out here in Wyoming. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Welcome to the American West. Or the East, as I call it. I live in California, so I'm out east right now. I'm back east. But most people call this the West. Wyoming. Let's see. Most fossils are as radioactive as a banana. There you go, Hogan. That's probably right, yeah. And I'm glad you like this camera, Awkward Cyborg. It's not a fancy one. This is a little Sony action cam. It's probably 15 years old. They don't make these anymore. You can't buy them. But yeah, I got this for like $50 on eBay. It's great, isn't it? Perfect for my purposes here. So, and I've got a replacement one in the car in case anything happens to this one. Always want to make sure I've got backups and auxiliaries in case, so many moving parts with this streaming setup. We've got the camera, we've got the camera case, we've got the microphone and the cords and the cables and the volume rocker and the encoder, which runs to a battery, and you've got cables running everywhere. And then, you've got the streaming software, and you've got the battery pack and the solar panel and the satellite dish. There's a lot of moving parts here. And Never Gonna Viv You Up says, to me, Wyoming will always be the state with only 2 escalators. Yeah. Pretty funny. I think they're both in, weren't they both in Laramie? Or Cheyenne? 2 of the biggest towns in Wyoming? Wyoming is a state that's the size of some European countries. Which European country is the same size as Wyoming? Somebody look it up. I'm guessing it's like the size of Portugal or something. And there's like fewer than 500,000 people who live here. Wyoming has a population of like 500,000 or something. Somebody look it up. Yeah, this is a wild place. It's pretty cool. Yeah. And Ken here in the chat grew up in Wyoming. He can tell you all about it. Now, Freshwater for Life, I'm glad you're here. Welcome to Paleontologizing. It's good to have you here. Welcome to wild and wonderful eastern Wyoming. We're digging up a duckbill dinosaur here. We've got 3 crew members here, and they are hard at work paring down this fossil jacket so we can get it light enough to bring it back to camp and then eventually get it to the laboratory. Laramie is only slightly big when school is in session. Casper and Cheyenne are the most populous. Interesting, Ken. Okay. Yeah, Casper is where the Tate Museum is. And, our expedition lead here is going to be heading to Casper tonight, I think. He's giving a talk there tomorrow morning. There's a bunch of paleontologists gathering there for a little conference deal. Yeah. Spent many summers in Mountain View, Wyoming. Very nice, Link for real. Yeah. Wyoming is slightly bigger than the UK, slightly smaller than Italy. Interesting. Wow. So, a state larger than the United Kingdom, and there's about 500,000 people who live here. That's nuts. Yeah. Wyoming is almost 3 Portugals big. I did not know that. Wow. Yeah. At the Walmart distribution center in Cheyenne. Really, Gamer Pino? Small world. Wow, how did you like that? They don't have a reputation for treating their employees super well, so I hope you did okay there. And America is big. It is, Squall Advisor. Absolutely. Yeah. And Prince Ninurtus says, I heard Ankylosaurus use their tail clubs to challenge each other for mating, and not just for defense against predators. Ones on their legs matched where the club would hit. Have you heard this? Yeah, that was Victoria Arbor's research, if I remember correctly. Not on Ankylosaurus itself, but on other, I think, like Ankylosaurids, so other members of that family. Yeah, it's an interesting idea that they'd be like doing that intra-specific combat. I don't know. Yeah, I never actually read the paper all the way through, but it can be really difficult to infer behavior, like what animals are doing just based on their fossil elements, based on their skeletons. But it's the kind of work that I'm really interested in. Yeah. And Den's Pens, thank you for being here, and I hope to see you next time. I'll be streaming every day, or as close to every day as I can, while I'm here in Wyoming for the whole month of June. So I'll see you around, I hope. Yeah. Yeah. And got more dust on here. Let's clear this off. Ms. Blue Sky says, for dinosaur phylogeny, is it all vibes, morphology based? No, it's definitely not vibes based. We've got this, like phylogenetic systematics, cladistics. There's ways to try and be more objective about it. When we're trying to classify dinosaurs. Cladistics is this this methodology wherein you take different anatomical characteristics and you basically turn them into numbers, and then you put the numbers into a computer program, and then that spits out a family tree for you. It is a very garbage in, garbage out kind of a system. Like, cladistics is not magic. It's, you know, if you put in bad information, you're going to get bad results. And hence there's a lot of arguments around cladistics and stuff, because we're dealing with very limited information. But it is a way to try and at least make things more objective. And yeah, in science, it's, you know, that's all we're trying to do. We're trying to find different ways of testing ideas, you know, in a systematic way. So we're forming hypotheses, and then we're going out and testing them by gathering data and running analyses. You know, so nothing in science should be purely vibes based. But sometimes the information that you have is very limited, and so sometimes it feels like vibes, I guess. And there you go, Tone Rebellion. Yeah. And Joshua Colossus, welcome. Just heard on the German news, found a tiny ape 11.3 million years old. Interesting. Huh. I have not heard about that. We don't get a lot of news out here because our only source of internet is the little bits of signal we can get on our phones when we're maybe at the top of a really big hill or something, or the Starlink, which I've got running over here. Let's walk over there and I'll show you, and I'll drink some more water. Gotta make sure to drink water out here. Smallest known hominid taxon. Interesting, Wanapatu. Very cool, very cool. Now, there's our satellite dish, and our solar panel, and our solar battery. How are we doing on that? We're down to 61%. Oh boy. Well, that's okay. Let's drink some water. All right. Yeah. Let's see here. Yeah. And Paleo Jim. Hang on. Is that Jim Kirkland? How are you, Jim? It's good to see you. I need to reply to your text. I need to see about getting that book that you recommended too. But I hope you're doing well. Let me walk you over to the site, Jim. Paleo Jim, this is Utah State paleontologist Jim Kirkland watching right now, right? Excellent. And Elena Prekransnaya. Welcome to Paleontologizing, and welcome to Western Wyoming. It's good to have you here. It's a spiffy partner badge you got there. What do you stream? We are streaming dinosaur paleontology here. Fieldwork. Digging up dinosaur. As I think we got Jim Kirkland watching right now.
Hey, how's it going, Jim?
Yeah. So here's our what we think is a Barnum Brown hadrosaur site. This is the one that we think that Brown was working in 1937, because there was that bucket that we found here. And there's a bunch of exposed bone on the surface. Yeah. So there's some of it there. It's all shiny from the glue. A bunch of the surface fragments have already been collected. I just did some mapping this morning.
Yeah, we're doing some nice, there's some caudal birds, I think, over here.
Nice, thanks, Luke.
Yeah. Sort of in place still.
Nice, yeah. Centrum right there. Beautiful. Very nice. Yeah. And we've got our dennery over here. I think it's a dennery at least. Right there. I would pull that part up and show you the alveoli for the teeth, but it's been glued in place, so just take my word for it. Probably a dennery right there. Yeah. Pretty darn sure it's a dinner. I don't know what else that could be. And we don't know what's in this jacket either. Just some bones from a lower horizon here. Interesting. It's not like from the big blocky stuff up top. It's in the softer sand here. But nice job paring that down. We had a successful flip earlier on stream. Oh yeah. So anyway, let's introduce ourselves again real quick to the audience if you guys don't mind. We'll start with you, Josh.
How we doing? I'm Josh.
Yeah.
Ethan's brother, actually.
From Salt Lake?
Salt Lake City.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah.
Cool. So, yeah, Josh is a tattoo artist, and yeah, we might have some tattooing going on later in the summer. We'll have to see. He brought his gear out here, which is actually really, really cool. I'm genuinely excited to see that. So yeah. And then we got Luke.
How's it going, everybody? My name's Luke. Yeah, also happy to be here and digging up these dinosaurs.
Yeah.
I'm working as a paleontology monitor right now for actual work when I'm not out here helping out dig these guys up. So they basically just send me out to like big remote construction jobs out in the desert in case there's any fossils that need to be identified and protected. So I'm the man on the scene for that kind of stuff.
Nice. Important work. Yeah. And we got Spencer.
Hi.
Yeah.
I'm Spencer. I'm a volunteer at the Denver Museum of Nature and Science.
Awesome. Yeah. So yeah. I get to be on the cool kids crew today. So this is it's always nice. Yeah. And man, that wind getting some dust in my eyes. Ugh. But yeah. So this is a duckbill dinosaur that we're looking at here, and since we've got 459 people watching at the moment, let me break out a visual aid and show you what we're talking about when we're talking about duck-billed dinosaurs. Somebody also was asking me, sorry I didn't answer right away, what was one of my favorite things I've ever found? I found a couple of triceratops, which were really cool. But one time I found what should hopefully be a new species of chasmosaur dinosaur. Another horned dinosaur, kind of like triceratops, but earlier in time, from the Judith River Formation. Hopefully pretty soon it's going to be published, but that was pretty neat. That was one of my first times ever out prospecting, and I found what could very well be a new dinosaur. Yeah, it takes a long time for these things to get published, so it's still not out there. But what else is still not out there, because we're still digging it up, is this duck-billed dinosaur. We don't know exactly the size or shape. Oops. There goes my visual aid. Man, that wind is something else. Let me set this down for just a second, and let me go fetch that. Here. Put you right here, chat. Try not to fall over, huh? What did I tell you? Don't fall over. There we go. Wind. All right, hang on. There we go. Oh, Wyoming. It's always windy. Yeah, but we've got new folks here. Welcome to Paleontologizing. Do we get a raid or something, or just new people trickling in? Let me just do a quick station break for anybody joining us now. Welcome to Paleontologizing, and welcome to wild and beautiful and windy western Wyoming. Out here, kind of near the town of Green River. Digging up a duckbill dinosaur here. Could very well be a new species. I'll talk about that. But here is our tries a charm, our visual aid. Okay. Let's try and get this to not blow away. But this is what we call a hadrosaur. Hadrosaurs are your famous duckbill dinosaurs. This is, I think, Griposaurus here. We don't know if our guy had a head similar to this or a different one. Some duckbill dinosaurs have got big, wacky, crazy crests on their heads. We call those lambeosaurines. This might be a lambeosaurine, but it's probably more likely a saurolophine that we're digging up. So maybe its head looked kind of similar to this guy. But duckbill dinosaurs are so called because of that big, almost duck-like bill there. These are plant-eating animals, and some of them get tremendously large. Some of the biggest of the hadrosaurs, the duckbill dinosaurs, are, I don't know, 45 feet? So like, what, 13 meters, 14 meters, maybe even 15 meters long? Our guy here doesn't seem to be quite that big, but it's big enough. Yeah. And Griposaurus G. notabilis. There you go, Dyson Dinosaur. It's a Scott Hartman skeletal, so you can look it up. I bet you probably is notabilis. I don't think it's monumentensis. It's not big enough for that. And did they have teeth, Tadziki? Oh boy, did they have teeth. Yeah. So duckbill dinosaurs like this, we usually say they had the most teeth out of any dinosaurs. They had what's called this big dental battery. So like all of these teeth that kind of fit together as like a pavement, this big chewing surface that they had. I've heard estimates that they could have had over 1,000 teeth at any given time. But Dyson Dinosaur, you probably know that better than I do, given that you work on hadrosaurs. What's the figure you usually tell people? Is it 1,000 for the teeth? How many? Yeah. And yeah, dental battery. There you go, Ken. Absolutely. Yeah. And Sunflower Snoopy, how are you doing? Welcome, welcome. It's good to have you here. Prince Nanerda says, did they use their bills to sift through sediment like a flamingo? No, it seems like these guys ate much tougher plants. Or they ate tough plants. Not really, they're not eating crustaceans, not filtering them out of the water like a flamingo. That's a big bill that they used for cropping vegetation. So it's a big beak for just like snipping bits of plants off. We've got stomach contents from some duckbill dinosaurs that show that they were eating pine needles and stuff like that. But the problem with stomach contents is that, the animal died right after it ate that. So, did it die because it wasn't getting enough food? Maybe the stomach contents don't actually reflect what their usual diet is, given that they died right after that. So, always be suspicious of stomach contents, at least a little bit, Yeah. And, can they have been eating cycads, Swoop? Maybe. Cycads seem to have gotten rarer by the time these guys evolve. So, duckbill dinosaurs like this one, like ours right here, lived during the Late Cretaceous period. So we think that these rocks are about 73 million years old. And, by that time, flowering plants had already evolved, the angiosperms, and they're already starting to take over. So you already have things like laurels and dogwoods and I think sycamores and plants like that. And these guys, it could very well be that the iguanodontians, including the hadrosaurs, duckbill dinosaurs, that they specifically evolved to eat these angiosperms, these flowering plants that are starting to take over. Because the rise of the iguanodontians kind of coincides with the rise of the the flowering plants. These guys really kind of take over the earth at the same time that flowering plants start to, if that makes sense. Yeah. Yeah. I'll put some lip stuff on so I don't get windburn or sunburn. It's got SPF too. It's important. Oh yeah. 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 Anyway, Dyson Dinosaur, so great to have you here. We got a real-life hadrosaur worker in the chat. It's awesome. Yeah, all the burn, exactly, Paleo Ken. Yeah. And bees as well, yeah, bee burn. You don't want your lips to get bee burned. So it's important to put stuff on there. But yeah, the wind and the sun and the constant yapping that I'm doing really take toll on the old lips, so gotta make sure that they're taken care of. And Umsoop says, my wife is a research horticulturalist and is proud of the cycads she brought home recently. Very cool. I personally love cycads. Those are my favorite plants. They used to be super diverse during the Mesozoic, and today there's, I don't know, there's like fewer than 200 species, I think, and like 9 genera. I've got 3 of those genera at home. And, I love cycads. They're super cool. But by the time these guys are walking around, cycads are not as common in North America. They're kind of being displaced by other kinds of plants. Cycads used to be almost dominant on the landscape. But by the Cretaceous, with the rise of the angiosperms, cycads are, they've started to dwindle a bit. They've started that decline. Yeah. And I wonder if the hadrosaurs helped them spread, asked Golganek. Interesting. The angiosperms? Could be. Could be. Eating those seeds and dropping them in droppings. And Dyson Dinosaur says, I've always been fascinated by the possible ecological impact of the evolution of flowers over the evolution of hadrosaurs. If some species were driven to extinction because of the advent of flowers. It's an interesting idea. Yeah. Yeah, it's cool, too, how, you have these iguanodontian dinosaurs like Camptosaurus and stuff that are already starting to evolve in the, in the late Jurassic. And they're, probably I wouldn't say a minor aspect of the ecosystem, a minor part, but they're not super common. They're definitely not dominant. These are environments that were dominated by sauropods in the late Jurassic. And then the early Cretaceous rolls around. And start to get more and more iguanodontians. And then you've got the rise of the duckbill dinosaurs, which evolved from earlier iguanodontians in the Cretaceous. It seems to happen at the same time as the rise of the angiosperms, so is it because of that? Or what's the deal, Yeah. But yeah. Anywho. And Nelechi, thank you for the subscription. I appreciate that. Welcome to Paleontologizing. Thanks for your support. It means a lot to me. Yeah. Tone Rebellion says, I heard that hadrosaurids largely displaced sauropods in North America in the Cretaceous. That does seem to be the case. I mean, by the end of the Cretaceous, like the Campanian and Maastrichtian, the only sauropods you have in North America seem to be down south, like in New Mexico. You've got Alamosaurus. Whether that's due to, what's going on with the plants in North America or something else, we don't really have a firm understanding of yet. Again, which is exciting. Somebody's going to figure that out someday. It just hasn't happened yet. And very funnies on Lime. Very, very funny. Welcome to Paleontologizing. We are trying to withstand the wind here out in western Wyoming, digging up this duck-billed dinosaur. And, yeah. And we got stuff flying away. As it happens. Yeah. And Sunflower Snoopy says, how deep do paleontologists have to dig to find fossils? We don't. We don't dig deep. We find this stuff on the surface. So, let me walk over back to the quarry for a second to show you. This stuff here on the surface has been exposed for a long time. You know, over 100 years at least. And this is how we originally find fossils in the first place. We don't just go and dig in a random spot. You'd never find anything. We do what we call prospecting. You walk along, and you look at the ground, you look for bits of bone that are being exposed by erosion. You follow those in. Hopefully there's like a trail leading to a skeleton like there was here. So all this stuff up here has been here for a long time. You can tell because of the lichen growing on it. This is very, very slow growing stuff. And so we know this has been on the surface for a long time. Like at least 100 years, probably a lot longer than that. But then when we find where we think the bone is coming out, then we dig in. And that's exactly what we've been doing here at this site. And been finding more stuff, fresh stuff under the surface, well-preserved bone that's not been kind of, you know, cracked up by erosion. It's not been weathered by wind and rain and ice and snow and all that stuff. Yeah. And Tadziki says, what sort of rock are the fossils in? Great question. I've actually got a couple of different lithologies here. Up here, you've got this really blocky kind of sandstone, really iron-rich. Right here, we've got all these chunks of bone inside of there. So I'll show you some of the bone texture like this. It looks so shiny because it's got glue all over it in order to keep it from weathering further. But yeah, got that there. And then when we were digging in here, Luke and Spencer started finding some bones down here in this much softer kind of unconsolidated sandstone.
Yeah, kind of right where those paper towels were, actually.
Yeah, right there.
Right down in there.
So it's interesting that we've got different lithologies for the same animal. At least we think it's the same animal. We haven't really been able to see what these bones are yet. And we won't see until we get it back to the laboratory. But, yeah. Anyway, this is flipped over and they're now undercutting the bottom of it so we can put a bottom jacket on it. This nice kind of burlap and plaster cocoon to protect the thing, get it back to the laboratory safely. Yeah. But yeah. And, curious about the surface geology, asked Tadziki. Well, we got all kinds of stuff going on here, exposed at the surface. You've got those nice horizons there. They're that big blocky sandstone. Yeah, we've got kind of broken up mudstone and sandstone through here too. Yeah. When you get some training in geology, you kind of see a landscape like this with new eyes. You know, okay, well we got this sandstone up here, you know, really, really massive sandstone that's probably indicative of, you know, it's like a channel, a river channel, call that a channel sandstone. Mudstones and siltstones, stuff like that, that's, you know, kind of from more still water. Sandstones generally are fluvial, that's what we usually say. So from like, you know, flowing water, rivers, streams, stuff like that. And then your mudstones and stuff like that are usually lacustrine, or, you know, like from an ancient lake. You know, either a big lake, an oxbow lake, used to be part of a river or something like that. Some stuff that's really like organic-y, kind of shaly, might come from, I don't know, you know, bog or something like that. Swampy stuff. Find lots of organic material in it. Yeah. It always depends, site by site. You know, different ways to form different kinds of sediment, but generally speaking, that's kind of how it goes. I'm not a sedimentologist myself. I'm not a very good geologist in general, I'll be honest. I'm more on the biological side of paleontology. But you got to have some understanding of the geology in order to be able to do work like this and be able to interpret things in a way that's helpful and helps you understand what's going on in these ancient environments. And Sainsukt says, do paleontologists have a rough idea of what the dinosaur population was like when they were alive? We're just starting to really ask questions in a methodical way about that. There was a paper that came out a couple years ago from some of my friends at Berkeley. They were trying to estimate how many different Tyrannosaurus would have been alive at the same time, and how many different Tyrannosaurus lived and died during the kind of the tenure of their species, Tyrannosaurus rex. And I think the answer they came to was about 2 or 3 billion over the course of the Hell Creek Formation, over the lifetime of the species. But I think they meant adults rather than just juveniles, because there's always, more juveniles than adults, unless you're going extinct. Yeah. It's difficult to actually come up with solid numbers in a situation like that, because we have such little information oftentimes. Most dinosaurs that have been named are based on one single specimen, and usually that specimen is very incomplete. Usually just a handful of bones. There are a lot of dinosaurs that have been named that are based on one single bone, or sometimes a fragment of a bone. It's not really best practice to do that, but it happens a lot. Especially in the olden days, that people would be naming new dinosaurs based on a fragment of a single bone. But yeah. It helps to have more of a sample size than that, but oftentimes you can't get that. There are not enough paleontologists working in these rocks. There's not enough funding for us. We're doing the best we can, usually. Let me scroll through. Yeah. And see if I missed any other questions. And Crimson Carnotaurus says, is this duckbill dinosaur the same specimen of the one from a few days ago? The one where we found the bucket, yeah. This is the same site. So right now we've got 4 different sites running, and we call this the Dell site. The Dell hadrosaur. And then we've got the Lexington hadrosaur. We've got the Ceratopsian site that Nick Longrich found last summer. And we've got we've got Turtle Hill, which is a beautiful kind of sample platter of the different organisms that were living and dying in this environment 73 million years ago. Yeah. Really cool to be running 4 sites at the same time. And Cove says, how does funding work to go find and dig up these types of things? It usually doesn't. Our field work here is funded more than 50% by you viewers. I kid you not. We had a member of this community who actually cut us a check in order to be able to come out here and dig. That was extremely generous. This person would like to remain anonymous, and I'm going to honor that. But they know who they are, and they know how grateful we are for that. We also got some money from the museum in Pittsburgh, and then a bunch of our gear was donated via an Amazon wish list by members of this community. So it's difficult to find fun. It's crazy to think about, because this is some of the coolest science you could be doing. Like, everybody dreams about digging up dinosaurs, right? This is incredibly cool stuff. It could be incredibly difficult to find money for it. I guess if finding dinosaurs somehow could enrich, the military-industrial complex, we'd have funding coming out of our ears. But but it doesn't, Yeah. So we got to kind of scrounge for funding. But we're very good at, pinching every penny, Very economical about how we spend this money. And we're going to be able to get several new species of dinosaur out of the ground and back to the laboratory this summer on what most scientists would consider an extremely paltry budget. Talking with Scient Streams, who's a geneticist and molecular biologist, he's like, yeah, to run a single genetics experiment, even using the sequencing machine and everything else, that might be like $50,000. And you might have to do several of those in order to be able to get good enough results to publish one paper. It's not like that here. Shoot, $50,000 would fund us for 5 years. Yeah. So paleontology is one of the most economical of the sciences. It's kind of nuts how much we can achieve with such little money. And think about if we had more money, what we could do. Think about all the new dinosaurs we could find. Think about the understanding that we could gain about these ancient ecosystems. Think about the perspective that would give us about, the history of life on our planet. as cool as this stuff is, you know, it's tough to find money for it. Let me scroll through. What do I think about Jurassic Park and Jurassic World, asks Thor QC. Really like Jurassic Park, don't really like Jurassic World. I could go on a big rant about that, but I don't want to get dragged into it right now. Squan says, are Stegosaurus and Triceratops in the same family? No, very different families. They're both ornithischian dinosaurs, but they're from different branches of Ornithischia. Stegosaurs are thyreophorans. Ceratopsians, like Triceratops, are marginocephalians. So they're different groups. Yeah. And Thor QC, Spinosaurus. I work on Spinosaurs. You'll be finding out about that later, I hope. Because I've got a paper I need to get published soon. So I'm working on that. It's almost done. But yeah. Are you worried to step on a snake, Nikki T? Yeah, I don't want to step on snakes. They're gentle, wonderful animals, and I don't want to hurt them. That's why we watch where we're stepping here. You also don't want to walk on bone. So we do a lot of looking at the ground when we're walking. And but there's no snakes up here. You know, we've been up here for a while. The snakes will hang out in other areas. They're not going to be able to find food here. And it's, you know, there's all this wind and everything. They don't want to deal with that. They just want to be left alone. They want to go find their food. They want to find nice rocks to bask on. So we give them their space, and they give us ours. It's a good arrangement we've got with the snakes here. Paleo Jim, yeah, says, we used to joke that one modern fighter plane represents the global historic funding for dinosaur paleontology. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Shoot. One B-2 Spirit bomber surely costs 10 times as much money than has ever been spent in the entire history of dinosaur paleontology around the world. It's nuts. Yeah. What is that old bumper sticker? It goes like, I want to live in a world where schools are all well-funded, no questions asked, and the Air Force has to run a bake sale to buy a bomber. You know, I can get down with that. Yeah. Yeah. B2 Spirit went for 2.2. I thought it was 1 billion per unit price. Oh man, you know there's people getting rich off that. Oh boy. Yeah. That's why you guys need to militarize dinosaurs to get that sweet, sweet funding. Oh, Deathsaurus. I don't want to do that. Oh boy. That's one of the things I came away with when I saw that film Oppenheimer. Is like, yeah, it was a good movie. Man, am I glad that we don't have those kinds of ethical quandaries in dinosaur paleontology, you know? We don't have to worry that the science that we're doing is gonna, you know, cause horrific death for hundreds of thousands of people. If anything, it's the opposite, you know? Shoot. In understanding the history of life on Earth, understanding the changes that have gone through, you know, that life has gone through over time, it gives us perspective that might end up saving us in the long run, you know? The reason why we know to be afraid, to not be afraid, but to be wary of, like, rapid climate change is because we know that causes mass extinctions. We know that's really, really bad for life on Earth. We wouldn't understand that if we didn't have an understanding of when it's happened before and what it's done. Likewise for asteroids, you know? Different space agencies around the world have got programs where they keep track of different, like, near-Earth objects, you know, potential asteroids, stuff like that could strike the Earth. The reason we know to watch out for that, the reason we know how bad that could be, is because of paleontology. It's because we've seen what that does, you know? The dinosaurs, except for a handful of birds, went extinct because this massive asteroid the size of San Francisco slammed into the Earth in the Gulf of Mexico and just caused all of this ecological devastation. You know, something like 80% of species on Earth got wiped out very, very quickly because of that. So it lets us know that, like, shoot, we need to watch out for this sort of thing. if there ever is an asteroid that's approaching Earth and we're able to deflect it, you know, and save ourselves, you know, thank a paleontologist, along with the engineers, the astronomers, the astrophysicists, everyone else. But the reason we know to watch out for that kind of thing, the reason why we know how serious it is because of fossil science. That's cool to think about. Yeah. Imagine an Oppenheimer biopic production for Bone Wars or Franz Napsche. There you go, Dyson Dinosaur. Yeah, that would be cool. Yeah. Yeah. At one time, HBO was actually going to produce a movie about the Bone Wars, about Othniel Charles Marsh and Edward Drinker Cope. It was going to be a comedy, and it was going to star Steve Carell as Cope and James Gandolfini, Tony Soprano himself, as Othniel Charles Marsh. And then Gandolfini passed away, and the project was shelved. But man, that would have been great. I would have loved to have seen that. Anywho, let me find some other questions. Let me scroll up a little bit. Raycodactyla says, wow, I just looked up some paleontology grants. They range from like $1,000 from the Paleontological Association to like $3,000, the Jurassic Foundation. Yeah, that's the kind of money we're talking about with this, you know? Chump change. Yeah. Again, if you want to fund fossil, if we have any you know, benevolent, wealthy people in the chat, and they would like to really contribute to the progress of science and the advancement of human knowledge, and they're looking for a way to do that and get the most bang for their buck, consider funding some dinosaur paleontology. You know that we use that money very wisely. We pinch every penny, you know, very economical about these things. And just, you know, a modest amount of money can make a big difference in a field like this. Let's see. Nikki T says, hi, I'm from Sweden, so I wonder, where are you now? Well, hopefully there's text up here that says it. I don't know if it's up here or up here. But I'm near the town of Green River, Wyoming. Kind of out in the middle of nowhere, in a good way. It's a beautiful country. Out in the kind of the Rocky Mountain region of the United States. It's good to be here. And I'm glad you can be here. Maybe we'll go take a look at the quarry again in a minute. And Paleo Jim says, Cope came out to visit the Utah Raptor type area. Yes! We'll talk about that a bit, I think, when I'm out there in July, excuse me. Jim, that was pretty cool. And we did a whole stream about that. You can find it on the YouTube page for Paleontologizing. But on the anniversary of Cope's death, we talked all about that, those escapades where Luis Cihoyos and his team brought Edward Drinker Cope's preserved skull out to visit a bunch of paleontologists across the United States. Yeah. Interesting story. Bunch of paleontologists, including Paleo Jim here in the chat, got to meet Edward Drinker Cope, or at least meet his skull. That might sound really morbid to a lot of people watching at home. Maybe it is, but you know, we're paleontologists. We deal with skeletal remains. That's kind of our bread and butter. And yeah, I don't think there's anything particularly macabre about that. We're already dealing with, you know, skeletons and all these remains of dead things. It's yeah. This is kind of the air we breathe. And opacity of the text makes it a bit hard to read. I don't want it to be too obtrusive, but I'll probably end up changing that and making it a little bit less transparent. Trek Nerd says, if anyone wanted to meet my skull, I'd be honored. Yeah, me too, you know? Yeah. Do you find any Albertosaurus inside sarcophagus. No, Crimson Carnotaurus. Maybe you would, if you're going to find those anywhere, they'd be up where Albertosaurus occurs. And Albertosaurus is what? Is it Red Deer River Formation? I don't remember off the top of my head. I get all those Canadian formations mixed up sometimes. Yeah, could be Belly River Group, I'm not sure. But anyway, that's up in Canada. We're here in Wyoming right now. And the Almond Formation. So these rocks that we're digging in right now are largely unexplored, at least in our modern time. Barnum Brown was digging here in 1937 and dug up some dinosaurs, but never published any of them. So there are 0 dinosaurs that have been named from the Almond Formation, or even identified down to the genus or species level. So just about anything that we find here stands a very good chance of being new, including this duckbill we got right here. Let's check in on the guys and see what they're up to here. Working on this jacket, paring that down. Yeah. Nice.
Yeah, you know, we
Brought it
definitely erred on the side of caution a little bit too much, I think.
Yeah.
There's a lot of dirt in here, but, you know, it always is good to play it safe sometimes in the field rather than the alternative of losing bones.
Oh yeah, for sure. Especially with something as important as this. Like, this could very well be a holotype. It could be, you know, the representative example of a new genus or a new species. So it's good that you guys are working slowly and carefully.
Yeah.
Better to do that than to ruin stuff. Absolutely.
100%.
Yeah.
Not a bone, dang it.
Yeah. Anywho.
Is this a bone layer? Is this a bone?
Let me go drink some more water before I forget. And any Andusosauruses? Not yet, Lindelius. Maybe one. You're looking at them. Yeah. Let's see. And what is the condition of the ceratopsian find? Fairly fragmentary, or maybe enough to tell if it was a Chasmosaurian or Centrosaurian? Well, between you and me, it seems to be a Chasmosaurian. We got some frill bones in there, and they're still working on it right now. As we speak, they're digging up some more of those ceratopsian bones. And hopefully they're diagnostic. Hopefully we'll be able to describe it, and it'll be something new. That'd be really cool. Have a new ceratopsian dinosaur. The odds are very good that that will happen, that the critter is new. So, I was just there yesterday for a little bit, and yeah, they're continuing to find more skull bones. It's disarticulated, so the bones have come apart, which, yeah, often kind of happens in that kind of sediment. I think it's in a mudstone, and things in mudstones tend to get disarticulated more often than in sandstones, at least in my experience. But yeah. Exciting stuff. It's probably going to be a new critter, which is really cool. All right. Yeah. And Princeton and Ernest is such a great hat. Thanks. Had this hat for a long time. I've had it for about 16 years. No joke. Best $45 I ever spent. For certain. Yeah. This hat's been with me every summer in the field since 2011, but I got it even before then. Got this back when I was in high school. Yeah. Where in the hadrosaurids might this new one be? We're not really sure yet. All we can tell at this point is that this seems to be a duckbill dinosaur, seems to be a hadrosaur. We can tell by the dennary that we've got over here. But apart from that, we don't know what's going on with it. We've got another hadrosaur from a site called Skull Ridge. That seems to maybe be a saurolophine hadrosaur. So not one of the big cresty lambeosaurs, but a saurolophine. But that is... I think that's currently being prepped. It's currently being worked on back in the laboratory, either in Pittsburgh or in Cincinnati. And we're excited to hear more about it. But that's out of our hands right now. We're here just trying to dig up more of these critters. While we can. Dig while the digging is good, you know. While it's still summertime and the wind is strong and there's no snow. Oh. And let's see here. Those are some super blue skies. Yeah, I think this camera in particular might have a tendency to exaggerate the blueness, but they are very blue. I don't know. Yeah, what you're seeing here is probably authentic. I don't think it's exaggerated. The skies are very blue here. That's nice. It's like that song about Alabama, how the skies are blue there. It's like, hate to break it to you, Alabamans, try going to some other states, you know. The sky's blue there also. Anywho, Golganek, thank you for the gifts up there. I appreciate that. And Zombie J says, are the khakis necessary or for funsies? I'm not wearing khakis. I'm wearing shorts. Shorts are necessary in order to keep me cool. It's pretty warm today. And then I've got a military surplus shirt. This is what I wear in the field. It's durable. It's inexpensive, so I can afford it. And it hides dirt pretty well. And it washes pretty clean, too. You wear something like a t-shirt out here, and that will get destroyed over time. A shirt like this tends to hold up a lot better. And, yeah, it just works. Also, it's light enough color that when it's really hot out, I'm not absorbing all of the sun's heat. Like if I were wearing, a black t-shirt or, heaven forbid, a turtleneck or something like that. Ugh. I shudder to think about that. Yeah. So, I don't know. You know, everything I'm wearing is practical. You know, it works. I've kind of developed this over... I've been digging dinosaurs. I've had 13 different field seasons digging fossils in the field. So it's a long time to figure stuff out and find out what works. No, I don't want to dig in Wyoming in February, Tadziki. Definitely not. Thank you, Sculpin, for those 5 gift subs. That is excellent, and I appreciate it, Sculpin. There's 5 people in the chat who I'm sure are very, very happy because they won't have to watch any ads here for the next 30 days, for as long as I'm in Wyoming. No ads for them. So they get an uninterrupted paleontologizing fieldwork stream experience. Excellent. And Ms. Blue Sky says, it's exactly what I thought paleontologists looked like as a kid. I mean, there's kind of a reason for that in a sense. A lot of your kind of earlier 20th century paleontologists and paleontology adjacent people, like, say, Roy Chapman Andrews or Barnum Brown or, I don't know, other people like that, they would often have clothing that, you know, it's fieldwork clothing. So it might be military derived. It might be, you know, the same sort of stuff that you'd wear when you're out in the field in the military. And a broad brim hat like this, a wide brim hat, protects your face from the sun, keeps you nice and cool. And if it's a well-fitting one, like this leather hat that I have, it's not going to blow up, you know, it's not going to sail off of your head at the slightest breeze. That's why I'm not a particular fan of cowboy hats. You know, I know that's supposed to be the thing to wear out in a place like this, but cowboy hats are lightweight. They can get carried away by a breeze. They can easily get stepped on and crunched. They're kind of delicate. They can get ruined by rain sometimes. And they're expensive. Like, a decent cowboy hat is expensive. It can run you a couple $100 easy. I got this hat for $45 16 years ago. Been wearing this every summer in the field since then. And, yeah. I like it. Let's see here. And isn't Barnum Brown known for wearing giant fur coats everywhere? It says Death Source. No, that's like one photo. He did used to do that up in Canada for a while, but sometimes I think that he was just doing that for the camera. I kind of doubt he's wearing a full length fur coat when he's just doing field work day to day. This is when the cameras were out. He was apparently a very dapper fellow, but he didn't always wear a fur coat. Definitely not. And there you go, Dyson Dinosaur. Yeah, paleontologist outfits also reflect the environment. Absolutely. Can't really dress like Danny in Niger. It's much way better to dress like a Tuareg to protect from the sand. Yes. It's kind of a cultural adaptation. Absolutely. Like, I guess, like fashion in general. Although this is much more practical than like, you know, fashion. You know. Yeah. When I'm in Utah, I dress a little bit differently. When I'm down near Moab, you'll see that later in the summer. Instead of this hat, I've got a sun helmet because honestly it's too hot there for like a leather hat that doesn't breathe particularly well. I've got a sun helmet because that keeps me nice and cool. If there's even the slightest breeze, it directs that breeze up and over your head, cools you down like natural air conditioning. There's a reason why people like U.S. Postal Service workers, mail carriers, and say the Viet Cong would wear pith helmets, sun helmets. It's because it keeps you cool. It's the best headgear you can have in an environment like that, in my opinion. Let me see this. Nokinzo says it was so refreshing to see this in my recommended. Welcome, Nokinzo. We need more learning, adventure channels. Keep up the good work. Thank you. I appreciate the kind words. Welcome to Paleontologizing. And do you have a change of clothes? I've got many changes of clothes, yeah. I wouldn't be out here for several months without some changes of clothes. I will run out of fresh underwear in about 5 days. So either I'm going to have to start recycling those or wash them in camp or maybe make it to town and go to the laundromat. But, yeah. I honestly have more shirts, I think, than I have pairs of underwear. Underwear you can always turn inside out if you really need to. Yeah, not my first rodeo. Definitely not Lenina. Been doing this for a long time. Yeah. Anywho. And Dyson Dinosaur says changing clothes in the field is for the weak. We do have some people out here who only brought like one shirt. But, that's not me. You know? I drove out here. If people are flying in and they need to pack a small bag on the plane, you know, then they've got limited space. I don't have that problem. I drove out here in my Prius, and I had enough space for a decent-sized tent and, you know, decent amount of clothes and stuff like that. You know, nothing fancy, but enough to live comfortably in the field for 2 months. It's important when you're, you know, this is a marathon. It's not a sprint. Yeah. He brought more than one shirt. They don't all look the same. This is a different shirt than I was wearing yesterday. You know, just because it's a similar color doesn't mean it's the same thing. It's legitimately a different shirt. Different cut, different pockets, different everything. You know, just a similar color. Yeah. And Kennedy, I would not want to wear that because there's a lot of bending over and crouching and, like, you know, you wouldn't want to wear a kilt. Or if you did wear a kilt, you'd have to wear, like, shorts and other stuff under it out here. A little too active for that. Yeah, especially when you're, like, jacketing and, like, trying to put understrips on the underside of a jacket and stuff like that. Like, people would be able to see everything. I don't want that happening. That would be against Twitch TOS, definitely, Sibley. Definitely. Yeah. You know, I'm sure kilts are great, but not when you're doing somersaults or, you know, not when you're upside down underneath a Triceratops sacrum jacket. Yeah. And Crimson Carnotaurus is a Prius. I would have thought you would have had something good for off-road and cargo space like a truck. I used to have big, gnarly off-road vehicles. They're not practical, in my opinion. I used to have a small 1988 Suzuki Samurai, which was great. And I loved that, but it was not good for highway travel at all. And then later I got a Toyota FJ Cruiser, which was way too big. It got like 12 miles to the gallon if I was lucky. And it's just not a very practical vehicle. You know, oftentimes those big trucks like that, as like a personal vehicle, it's just not practical at all. It's for show, you know? I've got a 2008 Toyota Prius with a 2-inch lift on it and some off-road capable tires and steel underbody skid plates. And that thing made it to this site the other day. There was a gigantic, like, you know, Jeep Wrangler Lariat or whatever it's called, the Cincinnati crew rented, and they were behind me, and they're like, can't believe what you were able to do in that Prius. Yeah. Plus, you know, I get 43 miles to the gallon when I'm not even trying, when the thing's all laden down with 1,000 pounds of gear. And, not 1,000 pounds, but a lot, hundreds of pounds of gear. And the wonderful thing about a Prius is that if you're going cross-country in it, oftentimes you don't need to pay for a hotel. You just find a safe place to park, and you sleep in that at night. And because it's a hybrid vehicle, you put it into accessory mode, and the it'll keep a constant temperature inside. You can run the AC all night, and it won't run down the battery, because the engine kicks on to recharge the battery at night. And you might end up using like $1 worth of gas over the course of a night, but you know, $1 is a whole lot less than $100 for a hotel room for the night, you know? Yeah. So I don't know, the Prius is a pretty excellent field vehicle in my opinion. And 99.9% of the driving that I do to get out here is on the highway. It's only that last like 0.1% where I'm actually going off-road, and it does that fine too. So it's great. Love my Prius. Yeah. Let's see. And Toyotas can do anything. They really kind of can, like for real, yeah. 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 And Anonymous is, yeah, you know, I didn't get the Prius because I thought it looked cool. I got it because it was the most practical vehicle I could get and the most reliable. I've never had a mechanical problem with that's caused me any real trouble. I just took it in for a full checkup, full vehicle inspection before I came out here, and the mechanic shop really struggled to find anything at all wrong with it. Eventually they figured out that the light bulbs that go over the rear license plate had burned out, so they replaced those. They were looking for anything, any work they could do on it. I've got like almost 200,000 miles on the thing, and it runs like a top. It's great. Yeah. And there you go, Link for real, yeah. Yeah. Anywho. And I've not had to replace the battery. I probably won't for the foreseeable future, which is really nice. Yeah, but I've got some money saved up in case I do. But yeah. Anywho, yeah. If anybody at home has got a Prius and they want to be able to take it off-road, look up Prius Off-Road. There's a company in Chico, California, where they produce these lift kits for them. So it gives you just enough ground clearance where you won't scrape when you're going over rough terrain and stuff, and it allows you to put larger tires on it. So I'd recommend that. Yeah. And Fresh Lover says, let's see some T-Rex teeth. We don't have T-Rex in this formation. So the rocks that we're digging in here are about 73 million years old. This is from a little bit before T-Rex. So T-Rex is, we'll say it first evolved about 68 million years ago. We don't know what the earliest T-Rex was at this point, but let's say 68. These rocks are 73 million years old, so this is about 5 million years before T-Rex. But what we are digging up here is a duckbill dinosaur. Potentially could be an ancestor of something like Edmontosaurus, which lived alongside T-Rex. Although that's probably pretty unlikely. It's probably the ancestors of Edmontosaurus walked over from Asia across the land bridge. I think it's like Shantungosaurus. Anywho, duckbill dinosaur we're working on here. Yeah. So we've got a bunch of exposed bone here on the surface. Might not look like much, but it is there. Got bone here, lots of chunks of bone there. You can see this lovely bone texture, a kind of trabecular texture in there. So this is all the stuff that was on the surface when this site was discovered back in 2021. Josh, did you find this site back in 2021? Was this you?
We found so many, I'm not sure. Seriously.
Yeah,
it was like one after the other. Like,
yeah.
I'm not sure we found what in that.
Josh found so many of these different sites. It's kind of incredible. So we're really happy he's here. And hopefully you'll get to do some more prospecting soon.
I can't wait.
Yeah.
Dude, there's something about it.
Yeah.
When you just see one floating on the top of the ground.
Yep.
And you're just like, oh, there we go. And then you see another, and then another, and then you go, we got bones here.
Yeah.
I love it.
It's such a cool feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is a jacket that we flipped earlier for anybody who's just tuning in. I say we. The guys flipped it. I was filming at the time. But
still couldn't have done it without you.
Yeah.
That's early.
But yeah, this is hopefully going to be a new species or even new genus of duck-billed dinosaur. We won't know until we get the bones back to the laboratory and get them cleaned and studied. But exciting stuff, you know. We're breaking new ground here, and not just in a literal sense. Oh man, that wind! Welcome to Wyoming. Do you have an estimate when the animals in this area are from? Yeah, Crimson Carnotaurus, latest Campanian or earliest Maastrichtian, about 73 million years old. We're still waiting on some exact dates. We're going to get some radiometric dates for this area, for this particular formation, and that'll actually give us a solid idea of exactly how old these critters are. And Cliff41 says that seems like a lot of evolving in a relatively short period. I mean, yeah, a few million years, a lot can happen, you know? 73 million years ago, this area was not 7,000 feet in the air like it is today. We're at about 7,000 feet elevation here. 73 million years ago, this was sea level. And this didn't look like this kind of high desert terrain like this. Arid and windswept with just little scrubby plants like this and all this exposed rock. Oh, 73 million years ago, this area would have looked like Louisiana or the Mississippi Delta. Low-lying, flat, warm, very wet, almost tropical. All kinds of lush plant growth here. You had crocodiles swimming around, or crocodilomorphs at least, kind of the ancient relatives of today's crocodiles. You had bowfin fish and sturgeon and maybe even paddlefish. I don't think we found any paddlefish here yet, but that kind of thing. Lots and lots of turtles. Freshwater turtles everywhere through here. And dinosaurs walking around doing their thing. Duck-billed dinosaurs, horned dinosaurs, tyrannosaurs, thescelosaurs, ankylosaurs. All kinds of cool dinosaurs walking around here too. And the underbrush, little mammals scurrying around. Lizards and probably snakes, salamanders, pterosaurs and birds. Yeah. But let me, yeah. Oh, Tipsy Emu says, sorry if I missed it, but what is the reason for believing it to be a new species of duckbill? We don't know if it is yet, but it would make sense if it is. Because this particular age of rocks in this particular place, we don't have any dinosaurs named from here yet. Generally, when you find like a new geological formation, the dinosaurs that you find in it will be new. Because these animals are constantly evolving and changing. You have one species, you know, evolving over time. Sometimes it splits into two or more species. You get diversification happening like that, or you just have anagenesis, like linear evolution of one lineage. So whether this is a cladogenetic species, like a species that branched off, or whether this is just a continuation of an existing lineage, either way it's probably going to be a new animal, because we don't have duck-billed dinosaurs from this particular slice of time in North America, in this region of North America at least. That's why this is important. We're filling in some gaps in our knowledge of Mesozoic North America in Cretaceous Wyoming. We're slotting in some of those missing puzzle pieces by doing this work. It's one of the reasons why it's so important. Yeah. And Amos says, how big a chance is to find something today? We've already found stuff today. I mean, we're not really trying to find new things today. And we're not trying to find new sites, I should say. But we're working on this site here, which very well might be a new species of duckbill dinosaur. So, I don't know if we'll find any new bones today. But, yeah. We're working on getting these ones that we've already found out of the ground, so we can take them back to the laboratory. And does your lab do genetic testing? Definitely not. No. I'm not a geneticist. I'm a paleontologist. So yeah, talk to a geneticist if you need some genetic testing done. That's not what we do here. We work with fossils. And Amos says, show me some bones. You know, you could say please. We're out here digging in the heat and the wind. You know, you could be a little more polite to us, but I can show you some bones. Yeah. So there in that jacket we've got
The experience does a lot for
fossil
you.
bones. And also over here, it's not going to look super pretty, but I'll show you some of the most charismatic ones that we've got here at the surface still, ones that we haven't collected yet. This is all bone through here. This is the interior texture. So looks like a vertebra right here by the outline. Looks like a vertebral centrum. And there's that bone texture in there. So this is long since weathered away. We got it right there. And it's all shiny because we've hit that with a bunch of glue. Here's kind of a little puddle of glue right there. In order to keep it from further breaking down, we stabilize it with glue like this. Here's some of the bone surface. See that nice white right there? And then you can see the interior bone texture there as well. And then over here we've got probably our most charismatic piece. This is a piece of lower jaw dentary right there. The other day I was showing you this, and I could pull off this trunk and show you the alveoli there, the tooth sockets, basically, the slots to the teeth that this duckbill dinosaur fit into. But now we've got this glued onto here, so check out the VOD from last time if you want to see that. So I can't show you right now. We've got even more bone going through here. All of this stuff was exposed on the surface. It's probably been exposed for like 100 years or more. This has got so much lichen growing on the surface here, and the stuff grows very slowly. But then, Luke and Spencer were digging here the other day and found even more bones down in this kind of soft sandstone. And so they exposed those and then covered it with this protective field jacket made of burlap and plaster. And this morning, early this afternoon, live on stream, we got this thing flipped over. So now they're trimming it down to be able to cut down on the weight, and then we can take it back to camp and get it back to the laboratory eventually. So, yeah. How's that for some bones? That's basically what we got here to show you, and I hope you're satisfied. It's not the prettiest thing in the world, but, you know, it's real. This is not like in the movies. This is the real deal. So, there you are. Let me get myself some more water. Yeah. And how will you move all this safely back to the museum? Some of the rocks are quite large. It's going to take a lot of hard work, a lot of muscle. Yeah, we just kind of take it slow and work as a team and try and get it back to an area where we can get it into the truck. And then luckily we've got a storage spot in town where we can put it so it's nice and safe. And then eventually we'll have some crew members probably rent a big box truck and drive it from here in Wyoming all the way up to Ohio, where these fossils are going to end up. At the Cincinnati Museum Center is the final home of these fossils, where they can be cleaned, prepared, studied, photographed, illustrated, published, and then some of the prettier ones might even go on display, which would be really cool for the general public to be able to enjoy these firsthand. So, That's what we're out here doing. That's what this is all about. All right. And it is Tig says, why or what makes paleontology so expensive? What do you mean? Paleontology is one of the least expensive sciences there is. We're out here with just a few $1,000 for the whole month of June, and we're bringing back, associated skeletons of new species of dinosaur. You don't get that kind of bang for your buck with pretty much any other scientific field. This is one of the most economical sciences there is. For less than the price of a new Chevy Cobalt, we get several new species of dinosaur. How incredible is that? In like 1 month of work in an area like this? I mean, what more could you want? Like, I don't know. It's a very economical kind of science we're in. No large Hadrosaurus collider needed. There you go, Gene Wen. Yes. Yeah. And Sully Wally says probably the only science that actually produces consistently, too. Well, not always. Other people have actually come out to the Almond Formation to look for fossils and not found anything. But we've added a really good crew and a lot of persistence and, yeah, good crews, I should say. This is this project, it's our 4th year out here. My 2nd year out here, but there are people like Josh here and like Luke who've been here since 2021. It's their first summer working out here. And back then they were just prospecting, just looking for new sites. And they found a lot of stuff. And Tipsy Emu, how important is it to be able to draw as a paleontologist? It's not super important. It helps with certain things, especially like when we're making quarry maps, when we're collecting data in the field. To be able to draw what's going on in the ground is important for data reasons. For being able to collect this information. It's nice. Cloud there, offering some respite from the sun. Yeah. I know paleontologists who don't know how to draw at all. Terrible at drawing. But it does seem like, compared to the general public, there are probably more paleontologists that can draw than you'd see in the general public, And I think that's a practice kind of a thing. People who are interested in fossils, maybe you grew up really interested in dinosaurs or ancient mammals. And one way that you express that interest as a kid is to draw those things. And so people like me really enjoy drawing. We have since we were kids. So it's something that you just continue to do and you get better and better, and it's just a skill that you hold on to throughout life. So I do think that it can be really important. It can be a useful skill, but it's by no means essential. It's not a requirement to be able to draw, to be able to do fossil science, Yeah. And hey, Moo Hoodles, how are you doing? Welcome. It's good to have you here. Hope your streams have been going well lately. I hope life is good. Moo Hoodles is a fellow science communicator here on Twitch. She does like astronomy and astrobiology. Go follow her if you're interested in those things. It's always a good time over at Moo Hoodles' channel. Yeah. And Amos says it's kind of amazing that you're able to stream something like this. Well, yeah, it's because of, speaking of astronomy. All this data is being beamed up to outer space right now through our satellite dish. So, watch. If I were to stand in front of this, like I sometimes accidentally do, it'll mess up the signal. So, broadcasting to you live via satellite. Solar-powered satellite. Out here in western Wyoming. A lot of moving parts to a stream like this. There's a lot of setup, took a lot of figuring out to get this whole system up and running. but you know, we're going, and it's been great. It's live science, exactly, Neverwinter, exactly. Yeah. And Eggy Boy says, yeah, streaming this is incredible. I'm glad you think so. Yeah, it's such a privilege to be able to do this, and I'm glad you're enjoying it. It's a lot of fun. This is the sort of science outreach I dreamed of doing when I was a kid, and now I get to do it and make my living doing it. And that's, honestly, it's a dream come true. It really is. And I'm glad you could be here for it. Do you take turns slacking off? I mean streaming, says Tipsy Emu. Well, we've got a big crew this year. And, yeah, we've got more than enough people working at each of the sites. I mapped the quarry earlier, so I've got a lot of experience in doing that. So in order to be able to collect proper data from a site like this, I've got to create a quarry map. So you map everything out, you measure it, you make sure that you have all of the bones and their arrangements there on the map, because that's important, useful information when you're trying to interpret the site. So I did that this morning. That was my big task, and now I'm streaming. Now, honestly, not to toot my own ceratopsian horn too much here, but a big part of our funding this summer came from the paleontologizing community. Not just through donated items, but through, you know, actual, a check written out, basically, in order to fund this work. So, I don't know, part of our mission here is science outreach, and that's part of where we got our funding from, about, more than half of it. So, yeah. It's important that I be able to do this too, you know? And I think just on a, societal good kind of level, it's important to do science outreach. It's important to show people how science works. You know, we live in our modern age, there's so much suspicion of science, promulgated through social media and honestly through the educational system too. Yeah. A lot of people are just really scared of science. And a lot of people have reason to be scared of science, honestly. When you think about the Tuskegee experiments, or you think about, I don't know, development of nuclear weapons and stuff like that. There are legitimate reasons why people should be a little bit leery of science. It's important for us as scientists to humanize ourselves, to say hey, what we're doing here is important and interesting, and to be able to share that with people so you can experience it firsthand, you can see what it's like, you can get excited about it. Science is a tool for learning about the world around us, and that can be used for good or for ill. I like to think that we as paleontologists are using it for good, in order to make the world a better place, in order to enhance our understanding of the history of life on Earth and our place in Earth history and in the universe. So it's important to share this kind of thing, to demystify science, to walk you through it and show you how cool it is. Yeah, so that's why I'm here. Science does rock, Reaper SVK. I agree. Welcome. It's good to have you here. And here for free food. Thank you for the hearts. It's good to see you. Welcome. Tadziki says, I say we weaponize paleontology. How will paleontology help us crush our enemies? Gentlemen, I will not tolerate a paleontology weaponization gap. No, we're not like that here. How could you weaponize? I don't know. Listen, says Lauren, if we demystify science, how am I supposed to feel superior to other people? I don't know. Develop some kind of a prejudice or something, maybe. Don't use science for that. Yeah. But yeah. Plus you get to drink beer. We're all out of beer, Traveler. Blues Traveler. Because we don't use our funding for that. We don't use, our fieldwork funding for that. We got to buy it with our own money, and we ran out last night. So, dry camp right now, for the most part. Yeah. There you go, Gene Lynn, yeah. And Icane says, for the record, don't develop some kind of prejudice. Yeah, I was kidding. Don't do that. Prejudice is the dominion of the, nasty, weak-minded people. Nothing against nasty, weak-minded people, We love everybody here. But just, be cool. Be cool. Yeah. It's good to see you, Iacane, and welcome. I'm glad you're here. Yeah. And any specific request beer-wise? Shoot. Ken, I gotta give you my cell number. Because apparently you text everybody all the time, and I never get text from you. Did I snub you early on or something? And shoot. But I gotta get that to you. I'll let you know. People seem to be liking the bush lights, but I don't know. I'm good with anything, really. I'm not picky. Yeah. And Murph, holy cow, thank you for those gift subs. I appreciate that. Maybe I'll buy some beer for the camp. Yeah. Thank you, Murph, for your support. I really appreciate it. You know how much we appreciate you here. Thanks for being here. Yeah. You guys are used to cheap beer? Oh yeah. Everything tastes better in the field anyway, That's just how it goes. We're not fancy around here. Definitely not. But yeah, also I want to make sure to emphasize how important it is to drink plenty of water out here, and I will demonstrate that by drinking some water in a moment. Let's go over there. And Robo-Shay, thank you for the subscription. I appreciate it. Welcome to Paleontologizing. Let's drink some more water. Excuse me. How rude. Water, important. And Elof says, is this like Jurassic Park? It's better. This is real. We're here digging up a duckbill dinosaur up in the windswept high desert of western Wyoming. So there's our jacket there. We flipped early in the stream and still carving it down. You guys could probably work a little bit faster if you wanted to. I know it's yeah. Any indication of how thick those bones were that you were?
We never followed them down. We just kind of jacketed them. There were a few. I thought they would have gone down further, but
yeah.
That's the way it goes sometimes.
Yeah. I don't know. Every site is always different. Every bone is different. It's always a case by case thing out here in the field.
I feel like we're pretty close though.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah. Want to show off the tools that we're using here?
Yeah. So we're just using hand tools right now, since if we do, we're trying to go a little bit slower in case we do hit bone. So we're just using these nice balls and oyster knives right now.
Yeah.
We've got some brushes. We've got bigger brushes. We're clearing off areas, and then some of these finer ones for
if you're closer to the bone or whatever. Yeah.
Something, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we're not there yet.
Yeah. All right. Good work. It's not easy doing this all day, so yeah. Want to get some encouragement for the guys here in the chat? Yeah. Baron MF wants to know, how long does it typically take to dig up a fossil of this size? You mean like this animal or that particular jacket? We're hoping to get this done in about a week or less, but oh man. You get that cleaned up and I can get you some liquid bandage if you want.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
I've got some new skin. One of the perils of fieldwork is sticking yourself with one of the hand tools. Yeah. But we're definitely getting some encouragement in the chat for you guys.
Thanks, guys.
You guys are awesome. Great work, everyone. Yeah. Thank you, Chad. Yeah. But yeah. And Crimson Carnotaurus, well, shoot, the dig sites depicted in Jurassic Park and Jurassic Park 3 were they seemed really well funded. That's a bigger operation than we have here. But also I don't know, we dinosaur paleontologists like to say that's the most inaccurate part. The most inaccurate part of Jurassic Park is the dig site scene. Because you've just got this beautiful Deinonychus skeleton all laid out there, all articulated in the epistotonic posture, that kind of head back death pose. All the bones are just right there on the surface, and they're just gently brushing away sand with, paint brushes. That is not how it is in real life. Holy cow. So that's definitely the least accurate, least authentic part of Jurassic Park. And I'm including the genetic stuff in there too. Yeah. Going all in. There you go, Matt. Yeah. And Cast the Dreamer says he sacrificed some blood to the paleontology gods. Still can find more fossils. Let's hope so. Yeah. Let's hope the paleontology gods aren't vegetarian like me. And Den Joga says, have you ever found gold while digging for fossils? No. This is not the kind of area where you find gold. So gold deposits are found in, like metamorphic or igneous strata. So like the Sierra Nevada mountains, where you've got this mountain building and all this like volcanism. You had magma cooking rocks and stuff like that. I think that's typically where you get gold. You're not going to find it in a setting like this, where this is all sedimentary rock. This is all, rocks that were formed when ancient sediments, sands and muds and silts and stuff like that got deposited and then just built up over time to get all these rocks here. It's not the sort of place where you find gold. Yeah. And, Aki says, is someone looking after the cats? Oh, yeah. Cats are well taken care of. I live with two other people, and who are actually the cats' owners. The cats have a higher status than me at home. I moved in after they already were there. So, yeah. I like to think the cats miss me right now, but they're probably indifferent. Or maybe they're watching right now. If so, hello, Moon Pie and Mini Pie and Sweetie Pie. I hope you're all, enjoying your air-conditioned comfort at home while I'm out here in the heat and the wind and the bugs and the rocks and everything else. But I don't know if I'd trade this for anything. That's where I was meant to be. This is what I was born for. Oh, this is what I was born to do. What I was born for? Yeah. I think the pies missed their snack depositor. There you go, Science Streams. Yeah. If anything, yeah. But I don't know. They're probably all three of them sleeping on my bed right now because it's nice and quiet in there with me gone. Yeah. Anonymous says, they probably think about you regularly. Cats seem aloof, but they are usually really attached. Well, we'll see. I'll be going home at the end of June for about 2 weeks before I come back out here to the field, out to Utah. So we'll see how the cats react when I come home. And the armband phone mount is genius. Thank you, Felis Lucia. This is not my idea. I've seen other IRL streamers do this, so that's where I got that from. But there are a few things here that I did have to devise, like the case that's holding this camera right now. I 3D printed, and I had to design this especially for this camera because I couldn't find anything that would work, so I had to figure that out. But everything else here, well, actually, I guess in a way, the whole streaming apparatus, this maybe is one of the first times anybody's put all this stuff together. like this camera and mic combination with the streaming encoder and the battery, and then solar powered solar battery there, and Starlink satellite internet. This is maybe one of the first times anybody's done this. Yeah. And we are still running at a deficit here, 49%. I'm probably gonna unplug this and this. That should be good enough for now, I think. And yeah, we'll see if we can run that up a little higher, because I don't want to leave here at less than 50%. It's charging this stuff for the guys. Should be enough for now, I think. Yeah. And Bokiga says, hello, mister. What is your favorite dinosaur? You don't have to call me mister. Call me Danny. Call me hey you. Call me whatever. I'm just glad you're here. I've got a few favorite dinosaurs. It's hard to choose just one. You know, it's like picking a favorite child. But most of my favorite dinosaurs are ones that I've worked on in the past. Either I've worked on them in the laboratory, or I've discovered them out in the field, or I've helped dig them up. Yeah, Triceratops is one of my favorites because I've dug up a lot of Triceratops over the years. Probably a couple dozen at least, out in the Hell Creek Formation of Montana. Leptoceratops lived at the same time and place as Triceratops, another one of my favorites. I got to dig them up in 2013, 2014. That was pretty special. Rare dinosaur, Leptoceratops. Trirarchuncus is a little, really cool, weird little, probably insect-eating dinosaur. And that's one of the dinosaurs that my crew worked on. Jack Wilson found the claw of that critter that allowed us to actually give it a name, finally. And when we I'm one of the authors on the paper, published in 2020. So yeah, another one of my favorite dinosaurs. And then I work on Spinosaurids right now, too. I'm going to be publishing a paper on them, hopefully at the end of the summer. And so yeah, dinosaurs like Baryonyx, Suchomimus, Spinosaurus. They're pretty awesome. I like them a lot because I'm working on them. So yeah, near and dear to my heart. So Bokiga, thank you for the question. Yeah. Iacane says, honestly, Mini Pie will probably run up excitedly when Danny gets back home. I like to think so, Iacane. We shall see. Oh, and I'm way late in chat. Let me catch up. Thank you here for free food, for supporting channel on Ko-Fi. I really appreciate that. Thank you kindly. Excellent. Yeah. And did Jurassic Park get the size of the Triceratops right? Yeah, I'd say so. Yeah. Their depiction of Triceratops is actually pretty darn good, especially for 1993. Today I would make it much more brightly colored and maybe have keratin covering not just the horns, but also the face and the frill. But that's a subject of debate right now. Yeah. But at any rate, it should be more brightly colored than that, instead of that just kind of dull brown that it was. Yeah. Their Stegosaurus is way too big, though. The Stegosaurus in the Lost World is like twice as big as it should be. Stegosaurus is not that big. Stegosaurs in general are not huge dinosaurs. Stegosaurus itself is the biggest of them. Either Stegosaurus or maybe Dacentrurus, I think, from England. The biggest of the Stegosaurs. Yeah. And let's see here. Also a Triceratops man yourself. Very nice, Bokiga, yeah. Triceratops is one of the most exciting dinosaurs because we can do some of the coolest science on it. We've got well over, I'd say, 200 or 300 different Triceratops specimens that have been excavated and are now in museums. And with that big of a sample size, we can start to tell some really interesting things about that animal. We can actually gain something of an understanding of how they grew and matured during their lifetimes. How much they looked different when they're really young to when they're really old. To the point where we used to think there have been like almost 25 species of Triceratops that have been named over the years. It turns out the number of those that are valid is probably 2. And are they really different species if it's just the same population evolving over time? But yeah, we can answer a lot of questions about Triceratops that we can't even ask for other dinosaurs because we don't have enough material. So Triceratops is really exciting. One of the better studied of all dinosaurs, and I was really lucky to be able to dig up some of those with Museum of the Rockies and with the Badlands Dinosaur Museum. Triceratops is a cool critter. That's why we've got Triceratops emotes. What time is it for you? It is 4:09 p.m. right now in western Wyoming. What about you, Valkill? Valkill Rocks? What time is it for you in your part of the world? And Denjoga says, how do you determine that similar forms are separate species? Oh boy. Isn't that the question? So that's a subject of sometimes heated debate among dinosaur paleontologists. Like, if 2 critters are 2 different dinosaurs that look different from one another, if they're from the same time in the same place, how can you tell that they're actually different species and not just different growth stages of the same animal? Or maybe even like male and female, you know? It's a tricky question. And there's a lot of different ways to answer it. Yeah. So many arguments in dinosaur paleontology kind of revolve around that. There's this concept in biology, in taxonomy, this like eternal conflict between lumpers and splitters. Different researchers who either emphasize the differences between 2 different organisms or the similarities, and trying to figure out, are they the same species or are they different? Are these differences strong enough that we're actually looking at different population bases that are not sharing genes, different species? Or do you just have a lot of variations sometimes, and members of the same species can look a lot different for whatever reason? Nobody wants to be a lumper or a splitter, but if I'm being honest, I'm probably on the lumper side of things. There can be a tremendous amount of individual variation between different dinosaurs of the same species. And that can be due to, ontogeny is the big one. The changes that dinosaurs underwent as they grew and matured. At different growth stages, the same species of dinosaur can look completely different and look like different species. We saw that for Triceratops. I think it's true for a lot of other dinosaurs too, but it's hard to test that without more specimens. So, yeah. In paleontology, we're constantly hampered by small sample sizes. And so, we need more people out in the field digging up dinosaurs like we're doing right here. We need more funding. We need more opportunities to get a larger sample size by collecting more skeletons and studying them. And so we're trying to contribute to that right here. And yeah, happy to be able to do that. And Jessica Tussie says, the sky is so blue there. It is, yeah. Welcome to Wyoming. It's a cool place to be. For sure. No pollution and high elevation, yeah. I wouldn't say no pollution, but air is pretty high quality here, even if there's not so much oxygen, because it is high elevation. Oh, and we had what was this about? Big cats? Crimson Carnotaurus, genus of animals today like Panthera, lion, tiger, leopard, and jaguar, snow leopard, along with the subspecies. Who knows how much variation existed with the dinosaurs that we know so far? Yeah, but mammals are a lot different in that regard. We could go into that in greater detail later. But, yeah, I don't know. Mammals tend to be like one species per niche. We don't think dinosaurs were like that, so we wouldn't expect them to be as speciose. Yeah. And also, especially during the earlier part of the Mesozoic, allopatric speciation would be much more difficult to achieve because, you could walk from one end of Pangaea to the other. there might be climatic boundaries in between and mountain ranges and stuff, but it's not like you would get this super high diversity, super high, high numbers of species because they're reproductively isolated because they're on different continents. You can walk from one continent to another, it's harder to become reproductively isolated and become a new species. Anyhow. And thank you from Marshy1109. Thank you, Claire Burr, for reposting that from Marshy. Hello, did you watch The Land Before Time? I saw it when I was a kid, I'm sure, yeah. It's been a long time, though. Yeah. It's been decades since I've seen that movie, I think. And thank you, Hogan, for the 5 gift subs. I really appreciate that, Hogan. Thank you for your generosity. Thanks for supporting the channel and keeping me fed out here. Appreciate you. Yeah. But anyway, Marshy, I'm glad you're here, and you said greetings from Germany, greetings from Wyoming, USA. I hope you're having a good day there, or good evening there. Wild Country says, is there a common cause and setting for these creatures dying? Well, animals live and die. We don't think there was anything catastrophic about this hadrosaur's death. We've got no reason to think that. Yeah, it's really lucky that it got fossilized for us. Because that in itself can be a very rare event. But, yeah. As for the extinction of the dinosaurs, except for a few birds, at the end of the Cretaceous period, and the extinction of about 80% of all other life on Earth, at the species level, something like that, the general consensus that's emerged is that an asteroid struck the Earth in the Gulf of Mexico 66 million years ago. And that seems to have been what caused this extinction event. Just ecological devastation. Total collapse of the food web. Ouch. Both on land and in the ocean. I got a thorn right there in my thumb. Ow. Here, hang on. I'm going to set you down and pull this out. Sagebrush is nasty sometimes. Ah. Come on. Got it. Ah, it's much better. Yeah. You can do a lot of damage with a giant space rock the size of San Francisco. And that seems to have been exactly what happened 66 million years ago. Yeah. Asteroid hits the Earth, throws up a tremendous cloud of dust, causes global wildfires. All of this soot and ash and dust and particulate matter blocks out the sun for months or maybe years. Plants die, then plant eaters die, then meat eaters who eat the plant eaters, they die. Eventually the scavengers, many of them die too. And it's only like small creatures that can hide underground, hibernate, estivate, just generally stay out of the way or feed on bits of detritus that are left. Those are the critters that survive. And plants that can go dormant or had seeds already in the ground, yeah, they're the ones that end up surviving. But a whole bunch of plants went extinct back then too. Ouch, that really hurts. There's something in that, the sagebrush, or whatever else that was that got in here. Ow. It's almost like a venom or something. It really stings. Yeah. And that's happenstance, yeah, the Gulf of Mexico. Dan Wheeline. Although if you just do a search for like Chicxulub crater or dinosaur asteroid crater, there's a little bit of land along the Yucatan Peninsula where you can kind of see the outline of the crater there, kind of a U shape. That's basically the rim of the impact crater. But it's much more subtle. It's not like the whole Gulf of Mexico got scooped out by that. That area already had that land already had that shape. It's basically the tip of the Yucatan Peninsula that got hit by that asteroid. And there are some structures that still exist there that reflect the rim of that crater. Indusaurus says, here's a question. Do you think there's a reason we find so many hadrosaur skin or skin impressions? We were just talking about that the other day, because we've got another site here. I think you saw it earlier, right? Where we had all that hadrosaur skin. I was talking with Glenn Storrs about that. He's here from the Museum Center in Cincinnati. And I think I agree with him on this. He thinks that it's like a desiccation thing. So these animals are living and dying on a floodplain, and then after they die, the carcass gets eaten, torn apart. Parts of it dry up. And so you get this already very tough, pebbly skin that they have that gets even tougher once it starts to dry out. And so you would have had these big patches of skin over the skeleton where already all the guts and most of the muscle and stuff got eaten. But that skin dries out, and it's there still kind of clinging to those bones. And then, maybe during like the seasonal rains, the floodplain gets flooded. And the stuff gets buried by sand, because it's almost always sand where we find skin impressions. And that's how you get that. So there probably was something very tough about hadrosaur skin, but it might have had something to do with the area they're living in too, where they like to hang out on the floodplains. You know, eating angiosperms, eating, early flowering plants. And, after they would die, they just kind of dry out. Yeah. But yeah, just came here from the Complexly Discord server. That sounds neat. Hey, what? I don't know what that is, but welcome. This is such a cool thing to have on Twitch. Thank you. Welcome to Paleontologizing. Here, let me introduce myself real quick. My name is Danny Anduza, and I'm a dinosaur paleontologist. I'm here streaming to you from wild and beautiful and very windy western Wyoming. Out here in the middle of nowhere. And we're digging up several new dinosaurs this summer. Today, I'm at this hadrosaur site. We're digging up a duckbill dinosaur here. I say we. It's it's Luke and Josh and Spencer who are digging it up right now. But I was helping map out the site earlier and collect data on it. And maybe if I come back here tomorrow, I'll help with the digging in the morning and for early afternoon, and then I'll start streaming again. But yeah. We're really lucky to be out here just doing some science. This is live paleontological fieldwork, and I'm glad you could be here for it. It's a privilege to be able to share it with you. Yeah. And Marquis of Death says, as a kid, I wanted to be a paleontologist. As an adult, I want to be a geologist. Very nice. Yeah. Well, we've had a lot of geologists on our crews over the years. I have had on various crews. Geology is extremely important. And that's a big part of like what we do out here is, studying these rocks and trying to decipher what these ancient ecosystems were like. Yeah. Yeah. And Welcome to Jupiter says, is it rude to repeat questions if they don't get seen the first time? No, go ahead and repeat. I'm not going to see everything. We've got a lot of people in here. We've got a lot of questions being asked. Especially if it's a good question. I don't mind it being repeated. Yeah, for sure. Even the questions that I've gotten a million times, like, oh, how do you know where to dig? I still try and make an effort to answer those, because a question asked in earnest is an important question. People are trying to learn, and that's what I'm here. I'm trying to enable that learning. So, ask away. Complexly is one of the YouTube Science Channel sponsors. They provide learning materials and activities. Oh, very cool, Claire Burr. People are talking about me on their Discord server? That's awesome. Wow. Really making the big time here, aren't we? I like that. Yeah. Welcome, everybody, from Complexly Discord. Welcome to Paleontologizing, and welcome to the Late Cretaceous Almond Formation. Rock's about 73 million years old. Out here in western Wyoming, near the town of Green River. Yeah. And Bearcat says, if mountains are evidence of volcanic activity, they're not always. Now, you can have mountains without volcanic activity for certain. There's at least something igneous going on way down beneath the surface that causes mountains to build oftentimes, but it's not always volcanic. Like, you can have big mountain ranges without having volcanism. What is the likelihood of volcanoes contributing to the extinction of the dinosaurs? It's, that's a matter of debate right now. There's two major, main schools of thought when it comes to the extinction of the dinosaurs. And one of them is really starting to win out. there's the idea that, oh, there's these massive volcanic eruptions that are going on in India at around the same time that the dinosaurs go extinct, except for a few species of birds. It's funny, I heard a bird chirp right there, and it reminds me, like, oh yeah, birds are still around, and they're dinosaurs. Anywho, that's called like the volcanism hypothesis, that the Deccan traps, these massive basaltic flows there in India at the time, they changed the climate enough to cause the extinction of the dinosaurs and a bunch of other Mesozoic big players like the non-avian dinosaurs. But the thing is, the Deccan traps were going on for a long time. There was a tremendous amount of volcanism going on, lots and lots of greenhouse gases being emitted into the atmosphere. That was kind of an original idea, and then in the 1980s, started realizing that a giant asteroid also hit Earth at the same exact time, basically at the instant that the dinosaurs, except for birds, go extinct. And so, yeah, these have been two competing hypotheses. It could have been a 1-2 punch, but it seems like the general consensus is, yes, the Deccan traps were going on, you've got these massive volcanic eruptions, but that was maybe not really affecting dinosaurs all that much. There would have been local impacts, but like global extinction, that doesn't seem to be the case. There's even an idea that one of my old crewmates, Alessandro Chiarenza, published in a paper in 2020, that maybe the volcanic eruptions made the extinctions less severe because they were raising Earth's temperature at the time through emission of all these greenhouse gases. That way, when the asteroid struck and caused an impact winter, all that dust and soot and ash in the air, blocking out the sun and causing drastic drops in temperature, that was not quite as severe because Earth temperature was already artificially high at the time. And so maybe that allowed our mammalian ancestors to survive that extinction event, when we otherwise would have gone extinct. That's an interesting thought. And, but yeah, debate continues, Things like this in science, they often take decades and decades and decades before we have like a definitive answer, because we have such limited information. We have to try and find ways of testing these ideas, in a manner that's as objective as we can make it. So that debate will continue, I think, for at least a few more decades. But it seems like it's trending in the direction of the asteroid is what done it, rather than volcanism. But we'll see. That could always change with new evidence. Oh yeah. Let's see. That wasn't a shooting star you'd want to make a wish on. There you go, Crimson Carnotaurus. Yeah. Yeah. And the trap part in Deccan traps is from Swedish trapp, meaning stairs. Just a fun fact. That is cool, Charlie's Dragon. That is cool. I like that. And Dan Wee Lion says, I love that Jurassic Park entrenches in time that science changes, and that's okay. And part of what's exciting, the bird thing. Some people think science is unreliable because it changes. No, it's exactly the opposite, If you're trying to find out what's true, and if you're actually using real-life evidence, testing ideas, it should change. That's how it's supposed to work. If we just relied on dogma, like, oh, well, this is how it is because it is, and that's why it is, and it can never change, even though might get better information, we might have, new lines of evidence. That's no way to be. That's a way to never learn anything new. That's why science is so cool. It's always changing. We're always finding new ways to ask questions, to test ideas, find new ways to gather evidence, and never stand still. Dinosaur paleontology in particular is kind of in a golden age at the moment. On average, there's a new dinosaur genus or species that is published about once every 9 days. That's, I think, the average over the past decade, is once every 9 days you've got a brand new dinosaur getting published. And then you've got beyond just new genera and species being named, you also have all kinds of new findings about dinosaur biology, about phylogeny, about everything there is to do with dinosaurs. Which is pretty cool. That's exciting stuff, I think. Yeah. Alright, let me try and catch up to chat. I'm a little behind. And Bearcat says, thank you for answering my question. You bet, Bearcat. As a follow-up, what was the supercontinent a thing back then, or was it starting to break up? It had already broken up by that point. So, the continents looked pretty similar to their current arrangement 66 million years ago. That kind of gives you a sense for how long the age of dinosaurs is, because Pangea was a thing when dinosaurs first evolved. All the continents were stuck together. And by the time dinosaurs go extinct, except for birds, the continents largely look like they do today. There's some differences. They're not, Africa and South America are not quite as far apart as they are today. India is still an island in the middle of the ocean racing up toward Asia. But, the continents have already kind of separated to the extent that, that they are today. For the most part, Yeah, their shapes are definitely recognizable. Yeah. And from Welcome to Jupiter, thank you, Claire Burr, for reposting that. I was reading somewhere in a local museum of mine that the Chesapeake Bay was formed by a meteor that caused the water to form on the other side of the mountains and create the Mississippi. I don't know about that. I don't know. I'm not from the East Coast. I'm not familiar with that hypothesis. I don't know. I'm not sure. I can't give you a definitive answer about that. I'm sorry. Gotta be honest, as a scientist, it's not my realm of expertise. And Jabes, thank you so much for those 10 gift subs. I really appreciate that. Thank you kindly for your support, Jabes. Thanks for keeping me going here, helping me pay the bills and bring science to the people. Appreciate you. Yeah. And there you go. Hey, what? Yeah, if I were back in my office, I'd show you like a time lapse of continental drift. It is pretty cool. India goes so fast, crashes into mainland Asia. That's what sends up the Himalayan mountains. India is still pushing its way into mainland Asia. That's why the Himalayan mountains are still rising. It's cool stuff. And that was my first thought too. Yeah, meteor created a body of water. Yeah, but I don't know. Maybe that's a thing. And Dan Wee Lion says, did the continents breaking up also contribute in some way to the particular way dinosaurs went? Possibly how the mammals managed? So the reason why we've got dinosaurs on all 7 continents, including Antarctica, is because, well, A, they were really good at moving around, but B, dinosaurs first evolved when all the continents were stuck together. So when those continents started separating, you had all these dinosaurs that were along for the ride. You had dinosaurs in India when India was an island in the middle of the Indian Ocean. So yeah, that's definitely part of it. But mammals evolved around the same time, and mammals also spread all around the globe at the same time too. It seems to be like a competition from the dinosaurs that kept mammals small and squeaky for the most part during the Mesozoic. There were no horses or cows, bears or lions, whales or bats during the Mesozoic, during the age of dinosaurs. Mammals were, at least compared to their morphological diversity today, they were very, kind of small, shrew-like, mouse-like. There's variations on those themes. The platypus-like mammals. You had maybe even some gliding mammals, like sugar gliders or flying squirrels, stuff like that. But for the most part, everybody's kind of small and mousy, mammal-wise, during the age of the dinosaurs. The very biggest mammals are like maybe the size of a large badger or something like that, or a smallish dog. Those are the most gargantuanly huge mammals during the age of dinosaurs. Most mammals are like super, super small, like mouse-sized. Some of them were like insect-sized. It's nuts how small some of those Mesozoic mammals are. Like Hadrocodium is a good example. Its skull is like the size of a grain of rice. It's smaller than a paperclip, the whole animal. Mesozoic mammals. Yeah, those are our ancestors, And because they were small, it seems to be that's partly why they survived when the asteroid hit 66 million years ago. But even then, it's not like, mammals survived and dinosaurs didn't. Dinosaurs survived too. We had a few species of bird that managed to survive and gave rise to all the species of bird today. And also, mammals almost went extinct too. It's like 90% of mammal species also got wiped out by the asteroid. Only a few survived and diversified into all of the mammals that we have today. So, something to think about. There's some perspective for you. Yeah. And let's see, what's your favorite fossil you have found? Thor, great question. I once found there's a site called Daniceratops in Montana. That's the name of the site, not the name of the dinosaur. The dinosaur doesn't have a name yet. But that should hopefully be a new species once it finally gets published. That's probably my favorite find that I've ever made. So far. That was really early in my career. 2012 I found that. Still not published. But these things often take years or decades. So stay tuned. Yeah. Let's see. And what? Insect-sized mammals? Yeah, Care-Bear Bonfire. Really, really small mammals. Yeah. We do get mammals that are almost that small today, too. But, the average size of mammals back during the Mesozoic is even smaller. Way smaller than today. And, yeah. And there you go. Yeah, Tone of Rebellion, yes. Sunlight and also color blindness. Most mammals today are colorblind. They don't have good color vision. And, I gotta plug this in before I forget. And, yeah, what else was I gonna say? String this through here before this thing dies on me. Oh, come on. I'd forgotten until this moment, and now it's crunched, do it now. There we go. Yeah, most mammals being colorblind, and us not having particularly good color vision. Our color vision is not as good as those of, birds or lizards or whatever. We can see fewer colors than birds can as human beings, because we've only managed to, re-evolve. We've got trichromatic vision. Birds have tetrachromatic vision. They can see more colors than we can. Colors we can't even imagine. Yeah. Yeah, and there you go, Blue Phoenix, exactly. Yeah. But yeah, I wonder if dinosaurs tasted good. They probably had a pretty decent sense of taste, I would imagine. Most dinosaurs, from what we can tell of brain endocasts, they seem to have, had pretty decent senses for the most part. Yeah. Their hearing might not have been as good as a lot of modern mammals. But again, there's a huge diversity of different kinds of dinosaurs. What kind of dinosaur are we talking about, Yeah. And from Virtual Assistant, how intelligent would dinosaurs have evolved if they were still alive today? Well, they are, and they're super intelligent, Virtual Assistant. Birds are some of the most intelligent animals doing their thing today. There are species of crow that can solve puzzles that an 8-year-old child can barely manage. Yeah, really, really intelligent. And they've got really interesting brains. The brains don't seem particularly large for their body size necessarily. And yet these are very clever animals. We're not sure how intelligent Mesozoic dinosaurs were, whatever intelligence means. There's so many different ways to define that. But we do know that they were remarkably successful animals. They were very, very good at adapting to their environments. And they probably exhibited very complex social behaviors. They've got lots of different lines of evidence that dinosaurs were very social animals. And sociality like that implies intelligence, right? That's one way to kind of measure intelligence, is like, what kind of complex social behaviors do you have? Yeah. I'll tell you one thing. During the Mesozoic, when dinosaurs were alive, during the age of dinosaurs, as you could call it, dinosaurs would have been probably the most intelligent animals around. More intelligent than our mammal ancestors at the time. At least, that's the idea. It's hard to measure this kind of thing from just fossils, but, dinosaurs really ruled their world. And part of that was through smarts, you could say. This whole idea of dinosaurs as being like slow, lumbering, brain-dead, sluggish reptiles, forget that idea. A, it's insulting to reptiles. But B, dinosaurs were active, largely warm-blooded, social, dynamic, really fascinating creatures. Perfectly worthy of intense study like we're doing here. What's your thought on the kid and his father who supposedly filmed the Tasmanian tiger? I'll believe it when I see it, Marquis of Death, There's so many different ways that you can fake footage like that today. Yeah. Like, when we've got a physical specimen, then, yeah. Oh, and hang on, I'm getting a call from Quinn. Hang on a second here. Hello? Hey, Quinn. Hey, I'm on stream right now. What's up? The grid. Yeah, I think so. We'll see if we can bring it back. Cool. I'll get it done for you, Quinn. Okay. All right, will do. Thanks, Quinn. Bye. All right. They want to borrow the grid over at the Ceratopsian site tomorrow. They got to do some mapping. We've mostly got that done today, so I'll make sure at the end of our workday that we've got all the mapping done so they can use that grid. Yeah, magpies. Yeah, magpies, very intelligent birds. Virtual assistant, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. For the ringtone. Yeah. People recognize that ringtone. Ever since I've had a cellular phone, I've had that ringtone. Yeah. I like it. I work on Spinosaurs too. So it's not some sort of poser type of thing. Yeah. Yeah, so here's our grid over here. This is what I was mapping with this morning. And I can kind of show you how this works. So, yeah, this is what we use for drawing out the map, kind of laying down a grid system. So we pick this up and we move it to different areas over here. We've got these nails here, data markers, separated from each other by 1 meter. And so we can walk around and map everything out. So we have everything laid out like in Battleship or something like that. Yeah. So that's what I was doing earlier today, right before I started streaming. I made sure to get the map as complete as I could. It's really important to be able to show, where these different bones are, what their arrangement is. Because maybe there's some clues there as to how this dinosaur died or how it got washed into this place or whatever, In order to be able to figure any of this stuff out, we have to be able to, get some good data. So it's important to collect that kind of information. I'm going to move my solar panel a little bit here. Try and orient it more directly toward the sun. Get us a little bit more juice. Because we are still running at a deficit. 54 watts out, 48 watts in. Yeah. Ugh. Yeah. Anywho. 48 in, 46 out. Nice. Okay. Hopefully we'll start to make a profit here. Start to increase that percentage there. Yeah. And is that a dinosaur-rich bone area? Absolutely, Reiki Mara. That's why we're here. It's funny, this whole area, kind of near Green River, Wyoming, there were paleontologists here in the 1930s working this area, in 1937 in particular, and they found some stuff. Everybody kind of forgot about it. They didn't publish anything to come out from there. I think that's why people kind of forgot about it. It became a really obscure area. A few crews did come out here to try and find bits of dinosaur bone in the decades since. They came up empty-handed. Then, with this project here, led by Ethan Cowgill, they started looking here again in 2021, started finding stuff. In fact, Josh over there started finding a bunch of different sites. And we've been coming here every year since then. This is my second year here, but Josh has been out here every year since 2021. And turns out there's a lot of dinosaur fossils around here. They're not the easiest to find, but they're here. And the cool thing is, since this area is largely unexplored, just about anything that we find here is going to be new. New genera or new species, which is awesome. Yeah. What elevation are you at, roughly? Almost 7,000 feet, Gene-Wen. Yeah, it's pretty high up over here. And that does work like a Cartesian coordinate system. You bet. Yes, indeed. Maybe I can show you some mapping another time, but I don't know. It's gonna be a little crowded over there. Visit the Green River Formation. I'm not planning on it Neverwinter, but maybe. If we do have like a day off at some point, maybe we'll do that. But I'm not necessarily counting on it. You know, it's not planned out. We've got limited time out here. We've got 1 month to try and get at least 3 different dinosaurs out of the ground and collect a bunch of other fossils over at Turtle Hill. That's our real priority. You know, this isn't a vacation. This is work. And we're making good progress, but yeah. And how complete is the fossil we're all collecting today, Craniac? We don't know yet. We're still digging in to see how much of it is there. We've got a bunch of chunks of bone at the surface. We know at least some of the animal is missing because those bones are all chunked up. So those bones are missing a bunch of different pieces. We're probably missing a lot of whole bones there. But the more we dig in, the more other bones we're finding. So there's, it's a good amount of stuff. It's a decently complete associated skeleton. Not totally complete, but it's pretty good. And, Murno Body, thank you for subscribing. I appreciate that. Oh, Link for Rail, thank you for subscribing too. And Geo Jim and Raiders, how are you doing? Welcome to the field. Welcome to Western Wyoming. Out here in some sedimentary rocks and the Late Cretaceous Almond Formation. These are rocks about 73 million years old, and we are digging up a dinosaur in them right now. We've got a duckbill dinosaur over there. I'll show you in a minute once I get some water here. Let's do that. Yeah. Drink some water. Just got to remind myself to do this talking nonstop. All right. How was your stream, Geo Jim? And Raiders, I hope it was really good. Welcome to Paleontologizing. For anybody who's here for the very first time, let me introduce myself. My name is Danny Anduza. I'm a dinosaur paleontologist, and I'm out here in Western Wyoming digging up dinosaurs with a crew of really cool people. And, really lucky to be out here and really lucky to be able to share it with you. So I'm glad you're here. And I'm glad you like that emote, Link for Real. That's, believe it or not, the first emote I ever made. Was that one? Yeah. And please remind the crew to hydrate. They know what they're doing, Gravity. They know what they're doing. Yeah. And really found your favorite Twitch channel here? I'm glad to hear it, Thor. I'm glad to hear it. Welcome to Paleontologizing. We've got 567 other viewers. This is awesome. Really cool. Really cool. And would love to have a tripod cam. Look at, yeah, Narvin, that would be really awesome too, but I do not have the wherewithal to do that. We've only got one stream encoder here, and that's the one that's attached to my hip right now. Yeah, it's nice to be able to walk around with the camera, and I can set it down if we need to. I'll be doing that later in the summer when I'm actually digging at some of these quarries. Like, I'll be digging live on stream. Haven't been doing a lot of digging on stream so far, but especially when I'm in Utah, we'll be doing that. A lot of quarrying live. And man, do I have this thing too short? Why is this hurting my neck and my shoulder? Yeah. Anywho. Death Source is easily the best channel on Twitch. High praise, Death Source. High praise. Thank you. Yeah. Did you get your buddy a bandage? Heggy for life. It's like a liquid bandage thing that I have. Let me ask him if he needs it. He'll hopefully be back in a few minutes. I saw him walking down the hill earlier with a pick and a roll of toilet paper, so we know what he's up to. He'll be back soon. Yeah. Yeah, let's take a look at the quarry here. Nice, making some real progress.
Yeah, we found a little bone.
Oh, nice. Where at?
Right here. You can see where we glued it.
Oh yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
First bit of bone. Nicely done. This thing probably weighs half what it did when you guys started.
Yeah, still pretty heavy.
Yeah.
But better.
Yeah, excellent.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Cool. It's slow going sometimes, but this is how it works.
This is the way it is.
Awesome. Yeah. Yeah. But Josh, you've been doing this since 2021, right?
Yeah, since Ethan came out the first time. In fact, I came out with my brother the first time he came out here.
Nice.
Just
Yeah.
the two of us.
Uh-huh. And you found a bunch of these sites. Didn't you find Turtle Hill? And
The first time we came out, it was just the two of us,
Uh-huh.
and we found one little tiny shard of bone,
Uh-huh.
probably that big. And Ethan was like, "There's dinosaur bones
Yep.
out here."
The stuff is here.
Set everything
Yeah.
up, and then
Uh-huh.
it was the second time around is when we found Turtle Hill and all the other.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Do you still have that fragment of bone? That should be in the museum
We
somewhere.
we left it where it was.
After where it was, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you didn't have a prospecting permit, probably, or
Nothing.
something. Yeah.
We probably shouldn't have even been doing that. But we did it.
But look at what it turned into, and we're doing
Exactly.
everything by the book now, obviously.
We had to find out.
Yeah.
We had to know.
Yeah.
The reality is he had to find out.
Yeah.
I was just happy to help. Yeah.
That's pretty cool. You guys have got a cool family. I said that earlier, but
appreciate that.
yeah.
I love them all to death, man. We're all very interested in each other, and that's a big deal, I think.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah, awesome. So, yeah, I saw Luke down there. Oh, he's coming back. Good, nice.
A little solo journey.
Yeah, so I'm carrying a roll of toilet paper down there. Nature calls. Yeah, how you doing, Spencer?
Doing good.
Yeah.
Tired.
Yeah, that wind really takes it out of you, right?
It's funny how sitting and scraping
Yep,
really take it out of you. Yeah,
for certain. Yeah. And we're gonna sleep well tonight. Shoot.
I'm cooking tonight, so.
Oh, you're cooking tonight?
Yes, sir.
Nice. What are we having?
I have no idea.
All right,
We'll find
we'll
out
figure
when
it
we
out.
get there.
It's gonna be good, whatever it is. Everything tastes better in the field. That's what I've found.
That's the truth.
Oh, yeah.
That's the truth.
Yeah. Yeah, let me see if we got any more questions here. And have you done any Mesozoic digs in I've never really been to Gondwana at all, Flagella Caudatin. Great question. No, I've never done any excavations in South America, Australia, Antarctica, Africa, Madagascar, or India. One of these days, inshallah. But we'll see. Everything's been Laurasian for me so far. I've only ever excavated stuff here in the United States. Mostly up in Montana and Utah, Wyoming. Which, is that contiguous? Yeah, Montana, Wyoming. It is. Yeah. Yeah, the tri-state area. Montana, Wyoming, Utah. Oh, we got a lizard here. See that rock with the orange on it? There's a lizard clinging to the edge of that rock, sticking his head up to the side there. Right there. close can we get? Hey, little lizard, you're beautiful. What are you doing? Yeah. Local wildlife. You're beautiful. What are you doing? You having a good day here? Yeah. Never been this close to a lizard on a stream before. Not a living lizard, at least. Fossil ones, maybe. Yeah. Look at you. My goodness. Really pretty. Oh, there he goes. All right, see you later. There, fella. What's going on? He's like a spiny lizard. Not like a fence lizard. And there he goes. Yeah. Wow, magical. It's not all dead stuff around here. Lizards not too super different from that would have also existed in this environment, but you know, back when this was much lower elevation, much warmer and much wetter. I don't know if we have any lizard bones in the almond formation yet, but I bet we do after a few years of digging. I have to ask. If we've got them from anywhere, they're going to be from Turtle Hill. Yeah. And very cool. He's doing push-ups at you. Yeah, threatening gesture, Lenina. He's like, don't make me come over there. Yeah. And cool, take one. Cool. Yeah. Pretty neat. Pretty neat. Oh, and Luke is back. There we go. Let me tell him what Quinn said. Hey, Luke. I got a call from Quinn a few minutes ago. He asked if we could bring him the grid square at the ceratopsian site tomorrow, so
Sure, totally.
let's just remember to do that, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, cool. And let's see. What's the biggest complete bones you've ever dug? Asked Thor. That would be probably the hip bones of that big Triceratops at the Yoshi's Trike site in 2011. That jacket was big. It was like 6 feet long, probably 5 feet wide. Called it the T-bomb. So it's the hips of that animal, which were pretty big. And we got the femurs too. Yeah, biggest single dinosaur bone I've ever dug was either the femurs from that Triceratops or the Tyrannosaurus femur that I found in 2015. Found a big T-Rex thigh bone and ended up leaving it. I dug all around it to see if there was anything else there. It seemed like it was just a femur, which was disappointing. So we didn't collect it. It would have been way too much work for a single bone. We were hoping it would turn into a skeleton, but sometimes that's all it is. Sometimes you just get a single bone here and there. And that was the biggest T-Rex I've ever dug, because the other notable T-Rex that I dug is the world's smallest, Chomper Rex. MOR 6625, I think is the specimen number. Back in, that was 2013 and 2014 we were digging at that site. Yeah. Yeah. Barnum Brown saw a big lichen under lizard. Wait, what, Jim? I don't understand. But it's good to have you here, Jim. It's nice to know you were watching. Yeah. Oh, and before I turn off the Starlink today, I got to see if I can buy that book that you recommended about Mesozoic plants. That was good stuff. Yeah. And you dug a T-Rex? Yeah, Thor. They're not rare. Tyrannosaurus is like the third most common animal in the Hell Creek. They're not necessarily rare animals at all. Yeah, they're the most common dinosaur in the Hell Creek after Triceratops and Edmontosaurus.
Ontogeny.
Yeah. So yeah, I've done a lot of digging in the Hell Creek, so of course I've dug some T-Rex. Oh, saw a big lichen under. Lichens do grow really slow. Absolutely, Jim. Yeah, you know, a lot of that lichen over there was probably already in existence back in 1937 when Barnum Brown was digging here, for certain. Lichen is fascinating. It's so weird. The lichen, by the way, everybody, is this stuff. It's not an animal, and it's not quite a plant. It's kind of like a joint venture between a plant and a fungus, I believe. And it grows very, very slowly, and it's very resilient. So it's one of the few organisms that can survive in like the interior of Antarctica, for instance. You get lichens growing in places like that. And yeah, it is slow growing. And oh, here, let me pick up a piece of rock with some nice lichen on it. Check that out. Fascinating stuff. It's really cool. I don't know enough about lichen, but I know enough to be appreciative of it. And sometimes when you go through fossil collections in museums, you find specimens that have lichen still on them, because the stuff is so good at clinging to the rock or to bone that sometimes when you try to remove it, you're actually removing pieces of the rock or bone. So sometimes it's best to just leave it on there, so as not to damage the surface. So when I used to work back at UCMP at Berkeley, the Museum of Paleontology at the University of California, Berkeley, they had a bunch of like Oreodont skulls and stuff like that that were encrusted with lichen. I remember asking my mentor about that, and she says, yeah, you try and remove that stuff, you're going to damage that skull. Just leave it on there. Yeah. Let's see. And reindeer live exclusively off of lichen in winter months? Yeah, Marquis of Death. I think they use their teeth and their lips to kind of rasp it off of stones and stuff like that. Off of rocky surfaces. And Double A Insanity says, how do you keep others from coming out and digging up a site that you've found? We try and keep a low profile. Shoot, Paleo Jim here in the chat could tell you stories about sites being looted by nefarious individuals. So yeah, the lower a profile we can keep, the more likely it is that we can keep these fossil sites from being raided, looted, destroyed, vandalized, etc. That's why I've got to be a little bit cagey about where we are. I say we're in southwest Wyoming. We're kind of near the town of Green River. Can't give you more details than that because we've got to, gotta keep this relatively on the down low, Yeah, I hope that makes sense. And live unboxing of dinosaurs. There you go, Steger. Yeah. Dumb Moths, how are you doing? Oh, and we got a moth raid. Well. Dumb Moths, how are you doing with your 28 raiders? Welcome to Paleontologizing. Welcome to beautiful, wild and woolly western Wyoming. Out here digging up dinosaurs. Live on Twitch. Got a duckbill dinosaur up here that we're excavating. And it is exciting stuff. It's slow going today. We made some really nice progress. I got most of the site mapped out. And it's nice to be doing what we came here to do. Not just overburden, but, actually getting ready to get these bones out of the ground. So yeah, cool stuff. And Raleigh says, have you ever found Brontosaurus? Apatosaurus, maybe. Although I didn't find it. We had what looked like maybe a coracoid and some other appendicular bones, maybe bones of the arm of a big sauropod dinosaur down in the Morrison Formation. I was down there with L.J. Krummenacker back in 2022, I think. For like 2 days we were doing some digging there. But it's not one that I found. He'd found it previously, and we went back to collect it for his school in Idaho. Yeah. But that's a big sauropod dinosaur. Could have been Camarasaurus, could have been Apatosaurus, could have been Diplodocus or Barosaurus. Really not sure what it was. But we got it out of the ground in a couple days, and that was nice. But it was limited material. There wasn't a whole lot there, it seemed. Yeah. And let's see. Dummoth says, I'm doing good, thank you. What's the temperature like? It's not bad today. We got a nice breeze that occasionally turns into a blustery gale. Oh, and I think I got some sort of a bug bite or something. What is that? Yeah, it's like in the low 80s today, maybe. Not too bad. Yeah, it's been quite hellish last summer when you guys were doing live digs. It will be again this year. It'll be up to 115 Fahrenheit again, probably, when I'm out there in near Moab, Utah. But for right now, I'm in western Wyoming, and it's not as hot, which is nice. You go down later in the summer and further south in the country, and it gets a lot hotter. Oh, man. You'll see that in July and August this year when I'm now down there. Going to be streaming as often as I can, and it's going to be a good time, even if it is ridiculously hot. Yeah. And Sayasank, thank you for the raid. How are you doing? Welcome, welcome. I'm glad you could be here. How was your stream? Let's dig in. There you go, Sayasank. Thank you. Hope you had a wonderful stream. It's good to see you here. Yeah. All right, you started finding more bone?
Finally.
Nice. Finally got down to it. Let's take a look.
We got 2 points of contact, so that's good enough for me at this point.
Yeah, we can stop with the shaving it down, and we do a jacket.
Hey, Josh, can you put some glue on that?
Yep, please.
Nice.
Right here.
So yeah, here's our jacket. We flipped this early in the stream.
Bone.
Nice. Beautiful. Yeah. Fantastic. So Luke is just going to hit that with some glue right there. That is a polyvinyl acetate glue, PVA. Sort of like wood glue if you were to dissolve wood glue in nail polish remover. Yeah. Let that dry, and then we'll put a bottom jacket on this thing, fully cocoon it for its journey back to the laboratory. Yeah, and we've got a little less than an hour. You want to do that today? Yeah, we can get that done. Get it back to the truck. Yeah. Nice. Oh, this is going to be good.
Want me to get the jug? What's up?
I'm gonna go get the jug.
Okay. Yeah. Perfect.
Excellent.
Oh,
Yeah. Let's see. And does somebody have a question about Utah Raptor? If you do, you should check out the VOD from, what was that, a little over a week ago? Today's Friday. That was last Wednesday. I did a whole Utah Raptor stream with a bunch of Utah Raptor fossils with the discoverer and namer of Utah Raptor, Jim Kirkland, the state paleontologist of Utah. James Tiberius Kirkland. Yeah. If you're still watching, Jim, hope you're having a good day. It's good to see you. And, yeah. Let's see. Utahraptor, more than 25 years ago. Utahraptor was discovered in 1992, I want to say. Well, it was originally discovered but not identified back in like the 70s. I think Jim Jensen's crew down at maybe the Dalton Wells quarry found some Utahraptor bones and never really did much with them. But Jim Kirkland and co, they found some more Utahraptor, and I want to say 1992. It could have been 91. Could have been 1990, I don't know. But it was like while Jurassic Park was in production, which also featured a large dromaeosaur. And, yeah. It's a cool story. We'll talk about it later another time. But check out that VOD if you want more info. And Flagella Cadet says, hey Danny, what's your favorite part of a dig? That's a good question. I think I like jacketing the most, honestly. Because it's like, you're not quite done with everything, but you know that you've got bone, you know that you're going to be able to get it back to the lab. The end is in sight for that particular element right there. I really like the jacketing part of it. And you'll get to see some of that right here. You know, 3 crew members here, they've got this down. They don't need my help with that. But there will be other times during the summer where I'll need to put the camera down and actually do the jacketing. And so that'll be cool. I'm looking forward to that. Yeah. Anywho, good stuff. Yeah, let me get some more water. Or I might even have a bit of a sports drink, because gotta make sure, I don't know, we were lucky enough to be able to go to a gas station earlier today, and yeah, decided to splurge and buy myself something with some electrolytes. So maybe I'll break into that right now. Yeah. It is important to stay hydrated, absolutely. Let me get that. Not as cold as it was, but it's gonna be nice. Let's see. Set this down right here. Nice.
Alright. I'll pour some water in the
So, getting ready to do some jacketing right here. This is a big part of dinosaur field paleontology, is building a field jacket. So right now Luke is gathering all his supplies. He's got a basin right there for pouring water into. And then after that, we're going to have some plaster in there. You know, only the finest equipment out here in the field, most expensive and high-tech.
Oh yeah.
A plastic water jug, and like a wash basin.
That's all you need to collect a dinosaur.
It honestly really is, yeah. Yeah.
A couple brushes. Yeah. And a shovel.
Yeah.
These are very handy.
Dude, that's just for aesthetics.
You're right. You're right.
So it doesn't get blown away.
So in this red bag here, we've got a bunch of plaster of Paris. You know, because as they say, if it's not from Paris, it's just sparkling gypsum.
That is what they say. Okay. So.
And then, do we have the strips pre-cut for the burlap already?
We do have some pre-cut already.
Nice. Yeah. Again, only the finest and most expensive of materials. Some burlap from the Burlap region of France. Yeah.
Alright, so here's the game plan, fellas.
Tell over the top.
Yep. You know the drill with that already? Yes, sir. Just get a brush for you. Spencer, you need a brush? Here, Spencer, grab that. Just bring it over here. Try to crowd the space.
And of course, before you're jacking, you got to make sure that the wind is just intolerable. That's how we do it.
Okay, you want me to show you that? It's like you're struggling.
No, I'm fine. I got it.
Yeah. So what they're doing right there is they're taking some TP, some toilet paper, or loo roll, I think as some of you might call it overseas. And they're putting it over the surface of the rock and the bone there, so that the plaster doesn't stick directly to that. You want a layer of what we call separator there to separate it.
Try and get a few layers together.
Yeah.
Single plying it. Yeah.
Mountain tickets. I've never heard that euphemism before for toilet paper. Yeah. So you using that soft brush to kind of tamp it down, get it to conform to all the nooks and crannies in there. That's how it's done. Sorry to be like narrating this for you guys. This must be weird, but
great.
okay.
Yeah.
But
I feel like David Attenborough's gonna kick in something.
and if Ethan were here, he could do his Attenborough impression.
He's got a pretty alright one, doesn't he?
Yeah, he really does. Hey, let me go get that hat for you.
You're okay.
You sure? I can set the camera down for a second.
Okay.
Yeah, let me do that.
I appreciate it.
I'll be right back.
I was just gonna let it be.
Yeah. You can get it up
There
there.
we go. Blown off. I got it.
Yeah, it didn't go far.
Piece there.
Nice.
There we go. That's looking good. Cool. Alright, so that one's ready to go.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
There you go, Josh. Yeah.
Appreciate you.
No worries.
Put this handle on it.
The
Just
best.
size that a little bit. Cool. Alright, so we got that one. Okay. Josh, you get the paper towels going. I'm gonna organize this burlap a little bit.
You want me to go for full surface or just the part?
I think just
There we go.
some of the chunky stuff, yeah. But I think it's okay leaving some of the matrix.
There we are.
So, you have
Mhm.
right here too. Big squares,
Nice. You guys are all set.
some strips. Oh
It's
yeah.
pre-cut. Very nice. Oh, Sabina Bean says, I've been dropping random dinosaur facts I pick up from the stream in different conversations, and it's been so fun. Thanks to everyone. That makes me really happy. I'm glad. Yeah.
Watch these big ones. Go around the perimeter, kinda.
Nice.
We got some big square ones for the top surface, and then all these kind of smaller strips to fill in everywhere else. Got it.
It is a little bit of extra work to soak the burlap strips, but it does help them to keep from blowing away, too. I know not everybody does that. You know, Jim Kirkland, if you're still watching right now, like, why are you wrapping those strips? Or why are you soaking the strips? But that's the way I was taught at Museum of the Rockies. It's, yeah, I don't know. It's the way we did it. I really do feel like it helps the plaster absorb better into the burlap, helps it cling better.
I feel like that makes
But
sense.
you feel like that makes sense?
Yeah.
I don't know, but I've had other people tell me the opposite. They're like, no, you got to put it in dry, then the plaster really sticks to it. So,
It's like
I don't know.
Water sticks to water.
yeah,
So it's
that's
like-
what I would think, yeah. But I don't know, I'm not a chemist, so who cares what I think? But it just feels weird to use dry burlap, dip it into the plaster. It's like not wetting your toothbrush before you brush your teeth. You just stick it in there dry, like,
Just for that little bit.
ugh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Josh, how you doing?
Pretty much ready to go.
Cool. You got me,
Thinking probably just second that little corner.
Yep, that's what I'm thinking. You know what? Let's do the whole surface. Just be safe. Yeah.
Alright. Got it. I'll be a little less.
All right, so what you're about to witness here, chat, is something of a sacred ritual among vertebrate paleontologists in the field. The building of a field jacket.
I don't like how you did it. Sit down.
Jim says, yeah, Dawn likes dry burlap. You know, different strokes for different folks, I guess.
Pull this a little closer.
All right, if we have an extra soft brush, I can help tamp some of that down too. I've got a free hand. Thanks.
Find another one.
Yeah. I don't know, I've got one in my pack if we need one. Nice.
Standing.
Yeah. Not as wet as it should be, but it's okay.
I get another one over there.
Thanks.
These paper towels.
Yeah.
Is this too thick?
No.
Does it matter?
No, that'll be good.
Okay.
Yeah. As long as it clings all right, that's really the important thing. I've done it with like 2 or 3 layers thick. Yeah. Whatever helps it stick better. Also, like the thinner the plaster that you mix, the more it soaks through. And so sometimes if you want to do really thin plaster, you got to do thicker separator.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Can you soak that for me? Thanks, Josh. Nice. It's very like chefly touch you had there where you're shaking it off.
Like some Bob Ross stuff right there.
Yeah, there you go.
My inner painter kicked in.
Yeah.
You set this one too? Thank you.
You betcha.
You know, there's a painter inside all of us. That's what he would say.
Just beat the devil out of it.
Yeah. You know, Bob Ross is on Twitch, right? There's like I think it's every weekend. It's like Friday through Sunday.
Oh, wait, for real?
There's like a 24. It's not 24/7. It's for 3 days.
On the way.
But there's like a Bob Ross marathon.
Wow.
I did not know this.
I could fall asleep to Bob Ross any day.
This is too dry for me. You guys got it.
Yeah, we got it.
Yeah.
There you go. Nice. All right, let's just put a couple more pieces down just to be safe. And
Yeah. Happy little fossils, says Sibley. There you go.
happy, safe little fossils.
Let's give these happy little fossils some paper friends.
Yes.
And Bob Ross is on right now. Yeah, it's Friday, isn't it? Very nice. We would raid in if that were possible, but I don't think they allow raids on that channel.
All right, let's put one more piece over there.
Yeah.
There we go.
And thank you, Jim. I appreciate that. I'll see if I can check that out later.
All right, nice.
And think nobody here is allergic to plaster or latex. We've been doing this for a while.
Pour some more water.
Yeah, I'll get it. And that'd be lousy to like develop a plaster allergy late in life, being a paleontologist. That'd be really crummy.
All right, yeah, just a little bit more water in there.
Crimson Carnotaurus wants to know, do you spend a long time on these deployments to dig sites? That's a funny way to put it.
Put this one right here.
Yeah, I mean, I'm out here the whole month of June. And then I'll be out in Utah from mid-July through early to mid-August. Watch out for that bone right here.
Right here. So Josh and
Oh yeah.
Spencer, if you guys want to go right in here.
We only have a few crew members who are going to be out for the whole time. Most people kind of trickle in and out because they've got work and other obligations.
Yes, sir.
But this is what I do for a living, so I get to be out here the whole month, and I'm very fortunate to be able to do that.
Now remember, we gotta be quick. It's gonna harden really quick.
Yep.
So you
Warm
wanna
water.
get them on there as fast as we can, nice and smooth. But I believe in you.
If you need another set of hands, just let me know too, and I can set this down.
We might, yeah.
Yeah, that happens a lot.
Yeah.
Or if everybody's got plaster all over their hands and they get an itchy nose, like
Oh, what a good
I
time.
could be designated nose scratcher.
Perfect.
Nice. There, Luke is mixing up the plaster.
Go!
Spencer, can you dump more in here for me?
Absolutely.
Probably the rest of the bag.
You got it.
Excellent, excellent. I'm just inhaling it all.
Good. Good thing you got that
Yeah, you have that mask on.
mask on.
Right.
This little bag.
A bit left.
Here, can you break open that other one over there?
Yeah.
Quickly. Hurry, Spencer. Everybody tell Spencer to hurry up.
Yeah.
Hurry, Spencer, hurry! Clock is ticking.
Grab
Event.
Grab that scoop right there. Give me like 2 big scoops. It's pretty super.
One scoop.
Okay.
Nice.
There we go. I think that's good.
Okay.
Nice and
Perfect,
thick, yeah.
Perfect. All right.
Nice.
Very nice. So for whatever reason, the microphone on this camera really picks up the like squelching of the plaster.
Oh,
So
nice.
it sounds way louder to them watching right now than it does to us.
That's good, people.
ASMR stuff for him.
Yeah. Isn't that nice, chat?
Don't you wish you were here?
Yeah, I bet you do. I bet you wish you were covered in plaster right now.
Squeeze it through the finger.
So I'm just trying to get all the lumps out, making sure this is as smooth as possible.
Yeah, so the reaction that plaster goes through when you put it in the water like this is what is it? Exothermic reaction. It produces heat, but it's like that's a chemical reaction that's going on, and so the clock is ticking.
Yep.
Like this stuff will set, it will harden
Very quickly.
Yeah, and the warmer the water is, usually the faster it sets
Yep,
too.
and it doesn't help that we're out here in 90-degree weather.
Exactly. Yeah.
To be clear, you said we're doing perimeter first,
So,
or do you want to go across?
Put some on the. I'll hand you a big one to put on the top.
you want to go across, or do you
yeah.
want to do a perimeter?
Let's put one on the top, and then you can go around on the edges and smooth those out as we go.
Okay.
Yeah. And then we'll just need a couple for that little one, but we can always do another batch.
Yeah.
All right, here we go.
Okay. He's taking it up and soaking it in the plaster. It's kind of a makeshift bandage, almost like you put on a broken arm or something like that.
This is a very messy part
Yeah.
of paleontology here.
Definitely. Yeah. And so, Spencer, one of the keys is like when you set it
Keep
down.
going, Spencer. Don't stop.
Yeah, you're doing great. You're doing great. But try not to lift it up after it's down, because it'll pull the separator
Once
up
it's
with
down,
it.
it's down. I'm just gonna throw stuff at you.
There you go. Take it with you.
Here's a big one.
Yeah. We're making good time here. It doesn't seem like it's going to set,
Yeah.
you know, within the next couple minutes.
Go this way, like so, toward you that end, just like that.
So we want to get like 2 good layers on this thing.
I'm gonna pull this before you put it
Spencer?
down. Start squeezing it.
Yeah.
There we go.
And make sure you've got enough overlap around the edges too,
Yep.
because that's kind of the weakest spot.
Yep.
We're gonna get the edges,
Josh.
and then we'll do another layer if we need to, right?
Here's a big strip. I'll give you guys a perimeter piece. There you go.
Yeah.
Spencer.
That's some thick stuff. You're doing great, Spencer.
You're doing great.
Trial by fire.
Everybody tell Spencer how great of a job he's
perimeter,
doing.
so you get like, let's get it.
all right.
And then pull it over. You want it to overlap enough
Yeah.
so that it's like gripping on to the lip that we made there. And like try to squeeze it into the air holes too.
Get that piece I gave you guys
Get
quick.
little, like,
That might be your last strip right there. In terms of, well, there's a lot of goop in there. You can probably get one more out.
Keep smoothing, keep going.
Yeah.
We're gonna get this one.
Everybody's cheering you on, Spencer, in the chat.
Just like that. One.
This is a very stressful part, just because of the time essence, you know? That looks good, guys. Nice.
Yeah. Trying to get one more strip out. Interesting.
Before we
Let's see if this pays off, chat.
Might even be able to get another one after that.
make sure
Nice.
this can go right here.
Yeah, not gonna have a whole lot of goop left over, which is good. You know,
Like that. We need
the plaster by itself
There we go.
doesn't really provide much structural stability. You need the burlap in there
get that nice and stretched.
for that tensile strength.
And then we're gonna woozy, woozy. Shoozy doozy.
One more piece. Where's
Probably right here.
right there. Okay. Alright, make sure there's no air pockets, nice and smooth.
Yeah.
Went around the
Look for
perimeter. We
seams.
looks like we're good right here.
Yep.
On your side, Spence, get a little squish in there.
Yeah, there you
You
go.
probably got enough on your fingers to
Yeah.
squeeze it in. Nice, dudes. I don't know what it is about it, but
I know,
it's
it's
like
nice.
childhood
It's
comes
nice.
like
I'm
floating back.
jealous right now that I'm not in there.
Oh,
Oh, I got it. Yeah.
nice.
Let's try and get some of the
You got Chris.
plaster off the hat.
Yeah. If you don't get a little plaster on your gear, you're not doing it right.
Exactly. It's a badge of honor.
Nice job, guys. Good. This is real good.
Smooth, tight, and sleek.
Yeah. Sides a little bit, outsides.
Sir Yogi one says, what happens if there's air pockets? That just means that you don't have the jacket close into the rock,
Yeah.
and so stuff can jiggle around inside, and that's
Yeah.
not what you want. You want it nice and tight,
Yeah.
you know?
Always want your jacket snug.
Yeah. Especially if it's cold out.
SB says, once this dries off, is it ready for transport? Yeah, basically.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's one of the reasons why this method was first derived by Othniel Charles Marsh's crews back in like the 1870s. We've been doing it the same way ever since. It's like really hard to improve on a method like this. Yeah, inexpensive. It works really well. All the materials are like easily transportable.
So we will
That was a solid mixture. Like the thickness is
nicely
clean.
done.
Yeah.
Perfect consistency looks like.
Yeah.
So we are going to do one more small batch. We'll put a few more pieces on here, and then we'll just get a cap for that little one.
Nice.
Cool.
Once this dries up nicely. But yeah, this is really good.
Yeah, that was great.
Very good, very good.
And Death Source says, how did they do it before then? Oh, before this method was devised? I don't know. Stuff would just fall apart a lot in the field.
Cut stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Hands are drying. Get out of the quarry.
All right. Nice job, fellas.
All right, thank you.
That's a nice looking jacket there. It's going to be heavy to carry back to the vehicle, but
Yeah, it is.
we'll get it done. Yeah. Yeah, and what bone is under all that? We've got 3 different bones there at least, Fish and New, and we don't know what they are yet. But, yeah. We'll figure it out. Sometimes you don't get to identify the bones in the field because by chipping away too much of the rock, you risk destroying them. Instead, you just gotta seal them up as early as you can and get it back safely to the laboratory where you can open it up under controlled laboratory conditions. You know, you're not going to ruin it. So yeah, 5:30 right now. Ethan said he'll be here around 6, so it'll take me a while to break down all this gear. I don't want to make us late, so I might end the stream now.
Okay.
I think that makes the most sense.
Yeah, we might have to take 2 trips also.
Yeah.
It's gonna be heavy.
Yeah. All right, cool. So we are going to wrap this up, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate it, and I hope to be streaming to you again tomorrow. Maybe from the same site or maybe from a different one. But yeah, so let's see who else is on right now. Nope, not that. No, you did great, Spencer. All right, go there. Who is live? California Burb, Pursuit House live stream, Kanara, Astro Canuck, Paleo stream is on. Let's go right into Paleo stream, who is a real life paleo artist, doing cool stuff here on Twitch. Here we go. Raid Paleo stream. There we go. Thank you, everybody, for your viewership today, for your questions, for your enthusiasm, for your kind words, and for your financial support. That's the only reason I can be out here, is because of all that. So thank you. I really appreciate it. And I'll be streaming to you as soon as I can again, hopefully tomorrow. Maybe from this site or maybe from a different one, but we'll be digging more dinosaurs, and I'll be doing some paleontologizing live on stream. So I hope you can be there. Thank you again, everybody, and let's go check out German paleo artist Joshua Knupe, who streams here on Twitch also under the name Paleo Stream. Let's check him out. I'll see you there, everybody. Take care. Bye-bye. Let's see. And there we go.